Johnny Bartz, welcome to the show. I've been dying to talk to you.
My man, I got my coffee. I'm ready to roll.
I've been waiting 27 years for you to get out of jail so we could talk.
Damn, you've been waiting that long. A lot of people that waited didn't make it, unfortunately. But
your story is it's everything. It's like shocking. It's scary. It's the story of redemption. And this podcast is all about people that have overcome hardships, done difficult things, turned their lives around, and you certainly fall into that category.
Listen, they always say that without the setback, you can't have the comeback.
That's it.
And, for me, the way that I feel, I just feel completely blessed every single day of my life. It's been a whirlwind. I always tell people that all you have to do is hold on for one more day. That's my mantra. Just hang on for one more day, because I did, right? And 10,000 days in duration. That's what 27 years comes out to be, almost 10,000 days. And I hung on for that long. And we were just talking about when you're getting 35 years, what's the difference of life, 35 years? At that point, I never think I'm getting out anyway.
Yeah.
And I vacillate back and forth every single day from, I'm going to make it, to, I'll never make this. And then you got people talking, we're going to be with you, we're all right. And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, I'm never getting out, dude. What are they thinking about? I'm never getting out of this. Are they just trying to make me feel good? But without hanging on for the days that I did hang on. I went through a period where, during COVID, that I thought suicide was a viable option. Yeah. Unfortunately, and it's real and it's serious, because, what they did with us in there, and not to the administrator's fault, because they didn't know what they were doing at the time, right? This was all new to everybody. But the psychological effects that it had on me, and the effects that it had on me from being, I was at low security. I was getting minimum security, getting ready to go to a camp, and I was locked in a cell for a very long time without, 1 hour a day. You can be an axe murderer and get 1 hour of recreation a day. And when I asked them for recreation after this happened, they looked at me like I asked them to give me a pack of cigarettes and let me out. They looked at me like I was crazy, and I just thought I was going to go stir crazy. I'm a guy like you. I got to be outdoors. I want to exercise, every day. And I was just real stingy. Everybody says, how did you do this every day? Looking back on it now, I don't know how I did it every day. But I remember that I had a year in where I worked out every day. I was in good shape. I was eating good. And then I'm like, I'm too stingy to let that go to waste. Yeah. I just got to keep doing that every day.
Yeah. So during COVID, what happened? And we'll get into your origin story, but I'm just curious. So during COVID, how long were you? So I assume because of COVID, they kept everyone segregated. So they were like, F it, just lock the joint down. So did you have a cellmate during that time?
No, it's a good question. So the other security levels, they were in 2-man cells locked down. At this particular time, I was in Elkton, Ohio, and it's a dorm-like environment where there was just cubicles, just like cinder blocks about, just enough high where you can't just about see over. So everybody was sharing the same space, right? Just sharing the same air, and the way that it's just insanity. But what happened was we would just... there was another unit, an adjacent unit. They locked the doors, and we couldn't go to the adjacent unit. Now we were just contained in our unit. So there was an A side and a B side. Now you're just on the A side. Now it's just you and the 130 people that are in your unit. Now your doors are locked. You can't go nowhere. They were delivering food, and then the craziest thing, Ken, right? And I'm sure you can appreciate this, is with your house, right? You don't want nobody coming to your house. You don't want nobody invading your space. In prison, it's your bunk.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? And I know you know the environment intimately, but from our side, I know a guy that died of COVID because he didn't want to give up his bunk. Because what they would do, if you had a fever at this time, they would take you to another place where you would go with all the sick people.
Yeah.
Little did they know, everybody was sick anyway. Everybody was hiding it, just trying to drink water so they wouldn't show fever on the temperature.
Yeah.
We're all sick.
Yeah.
One person said, how do you feel? I said, I'm fucking sick. Really? And then everybody started saying, me too, me too, me too. Everybody had it.
Yeah.
But this guy was so sick. He was matter of fact, he was a pretty tough guy. He was an African-American guy. He was, strong, thick guy. He was in the military before, I don't know what branch. But one day they were coming around doing the rounds, and he couldn't get off his bed. And the nurse was like, you got to come with me. And he's like, no, you got to help me. She got some people to help, and he fell at the door, the mouth of the unit, and died. Took his last breath there because he didn't want to lose his bunk. It's a fact.
This is why I was telling you earlier, like I had, after working in the prison for 4 years, I had reoccurring dreams, nightmares that I was going to jail, usually for something I didn't do, but just the thought of going to jail. And that's what I want to talk to you about, because I know you had like the typical childhood like I had. You grew up in East Boston. I grew up in Somerville, basically the same exact place.
Thing.
And like you, we all had parents, like, you know, we probably were all poor, but didn't really know it because everyone was poor. It was just, you were a product of the environment, right? And, but what I find interesting about your story is, like, when we were driving here, I was like, so you didn't, because you were only in the Hells Angels, and we'll get into that too, for like less than a year. You didn't go to jail before. Your first sentence was 35 years.
Yeah, 420 months I got sentenced.
When they hit you with that sentence and you walk into jail, again, we're going to come back to all of the origin stuff, but I love to start with, you get the sentence and now you're going to prison, and you get there the first day. And I know you were a tough guy. You were in the Hells Angels, but still, you're in your early 20s and you're like going to prison for 35 years. What happens when you get sentenced?
So inside, we're all sucking our thumb, right? Listen, we can put nobody played tough guy better than me.
Yeah.
Everybody believed me,
Yeah.
but me.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the federal government believed me too. But so the thing is when you talk about the sentence, we have to start really at, the moment that it all started. When I first went into court, they just reenacted the death penalty federally, and they were threatening me, you're going to be the first death penalty case because there's a murder in your case, and we're going to give you the death penalty.
Actually, you know what? Before we get into that, you're right. Let me set the table. So childhood, typical inner city childhood. And this is what I find interesting. Like I was telling you, like growing up in Boston, like I didn't know a single person in a motorcycle gang, and I knew people of all races, every kind of like socioeconomic status. You know, you had the poor kids that were like in the projects,
Right.
and we were right outside of the projects, and it was like you were the rich kids, but we were all poor. But I didn't know any motorcycle guys. Like, how the hell did you end up in the Hells Angels in your early 20s? Because you strike me as like one of my peers, like Sean O'Brien, the Teamsters president. It's like we're all kind of the same crew, like from the same groups, just different cities. I didn't know anyone in motorcycle gangs. So how did that happen?
So, and it's like our friend Mike Lee says, Bean Shooter.
Yeah, Bean
says, when I heard about this kid and talking about me,
Yeah.
he goes, I'm looking at his Instagram profile, see a guy with long hair, beard. He goes, he looked like a Charlestown bank robber,
Yes.
this guy. So, but and that adds credence to what you're saying. And so, funny thing about me, I grew up in East Boston, and there was a motorcycle club called the Trampers. And I remember I went to East Boston Central Catholic School. It was the fitting school. It was down by the Maverick Projects. And I used to walk by their clubhouse, what I know to be their clubhouse now. Before I didn't know. I just knew when I was a kid. There was like dogs barking out there, all motorcycles, women. They were running around crazy. And I just went on the other side of the street and I just kind of looked. And about that time, like I was running around my house just making the motorcycle sounds. The first thing my aunt made me in a ceramics class was a little guy on a motorcycle. Ceramics class. So they kind of knew where I was. The first bicycle I had front and back shocks, right? I mean, my father got it for me and said, yeah, this is pretty good for you, kid. I think this will fit you. And my Uncle Bobby ran a club, and I don't know if you're familiar with it. Everybody in our time was the Palace nightclub complex.
Of course.
So Russell Robards owned it. My Uncle Bobby, my father's brother, Robert Bartolomeo, Bobby Bart, was the head of security for them guys that owned the Palace.
I remember going there as a kid and thinking like, all right, head on a swivel. This place is dangerous. There was always fights there.
Of course.
When I moved to New York and started working in finance, I remember I went out with a guy called Mike Peltier, who got me my first job in finance, and then he died in 9/11. Poor bastard. Mike Peltier, a great hockey player, went to St. Lawrence. I said to him one night, we had gone out a bunch of times. I go, dude, I've been here like 6 months. I've never seen a fight. And he was like, so what? I'm like, so what? You didn't have like tons of fights where you grew up? I was like, if I went out with my friends 3 times, 2 times there was a fight, no matter what.
Right.
And I'm not like, we're tough or anything. I'm just saying that's what happened.
I don't know. Yeah, right.
If I went to the
Our own
Palace,
experiences.
if I went to the Palace, either we got in a fight with my friends and some other people, or someone else got in a fight. You wouldn't go there at night and not see a fight.
I agree.
It was danger. I always felt dangerous. Like I was not like looking for that kind of shit when I was a kid. I was hoping like just to stay under the radar.
Yeah.
Hey guys, want to talk to you quickly about Ketone IQ, my favorite energy source. Ketone IQ, if you don't know, is a fast-acting source of energy. I prefer it with the caffeine. It's like a double whammy. It provides fast-acting energy, but doesn't give you the same crash like caffeine or the jitters. This stuff is used by the majority of the pro peloton at the Tour of France. And listen, if it didn't work and wasn't backed by science, those guys wouldn't use it. I've been loving this stuff. I've been taking it for the last couple of years. I'm running like 70 to 80 miles a week at 54 years old, and every single one of my runs is fueled by Ketone IQ. Give them a shot. Go to ketone.com. Use the promo code Rideout to save some money. Let me know what you think. I think you're going to love it. Boom. So anyway, he's running security.
So he runs the Palace. My Uncle Bob, he's the head of security. So I used to go there. I mean, it's my father's brother. It's my uncle. I grew up like glorifying this guy, right?
Yeah.
And I pull up in my car. Everybody knows who I am. The valet guy comes, Johnny, what's up, buddy? Come on. How you doing? Give me the keys. I walk in the back door. Everybody's like, who's this guy? I had carte blanche there. I was like a movie star there, So what happened is make a little, connect the nexus for you. The Hells Angels started having their parties up there, like a Valentine's Day party. They'd have like a Halloween party.
Hells Angels Halloween party.
I'm saying it's fundraisers. That's how we derive capital. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So, you charge people admission, you make shirts, you have certain things.
They're always trying to do legit businesses, right?
Of course.
Okay.
Of course. And I'm not saying trying. I'm not, because I was a member of the organization. I'm out of the club now. Preface everything with that. I left the club, but I'm saying for the 99 percentile, it is a legitimate organization.
Yep.
And a lot of people that are involved, me included, a lot of times were like, hey, let's make this legitimate so nobody,
Yeah.
But anyway, we were having, the club was having their events there.
Yep.
And that's kind of how I met, Greg Dolmy. He was the president of the charter at the time. And he was like, hey, Skinny. He called me Skinny. I was like, Skinny? I work out every day. This guy just called me Skinny. I'm thinking to myself, But he's like, hey, you want to be security for the party? So that's how it started. I became security for the events.
Okay.
And then after that, I just, the thing about the club is the club doesn't recruit people.
Yeah.
When you're in the club and I was in the club, I would just recognize people that was like me and I would, say, hey, listen, this might be good for you. So I just
like the Masons.
So I kind of, I don't know. Yeah, maybe, maybe, I don't know, maybe. But I mean, for me, I recognize people that were like me and I, offered them an opportunity. I'm no longer in the club, but that's what I did. I went around to guys and be like, hey, I want to get in the club.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, that's how that happened. So, I seen it when I was a kid with the Trampers of East Boston. They're no longer a club no more. And then when I kind of went into, I had this, this spark kind of reignited in me when I seen guys in the club. And everybody asked me like, you're Italian, you're from East Boston. Why weren't you in the mob? You know what I'm saying? And the reason for that, and to add further support for why I got into the club was that, I seen a lot of people that were, organized crime members and serious guys. But in my neighborhood, there was people that were trying to emulate those guys who weren't really those guys. And we kind of call them plastic gangsters.
Yeah.
Not the guys that were the real guys because they were real guys.
Yeah.
But these kids in the neighborhood, and I was like, I don't want to be that. Yeah. So I gravitated toward guys in the club.
When you do that, is it like what you see in the movies? Like, was there a process, like a pledging process, and you have to do all the like shenanigans, like get this, do that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, so for me, my personal experience in the club is kind of what I talk about. I don't talk about like what goes on in the club, the inner workings of the club, and I always shy away from that because it's not for me to put ideas into other people's heads or to try to, formulate opinions of other people and then bring them to the table. So my experience is I never went through any of that.
Oh, okay. All right. So, but you had experience riding motorcycles? The whole thing seems so intimidating to me. Like, all right, guys, let's get on our motorbikes and drive recklessly on the highway.
Right. And I'm saying,
guys, everyone make sure your helmet's strapped up, all right? Everyone could.
And I'm saying now, it is pretty tense driving too. When you're on a motorcycle, you're about 11, 12, not even a foot away from the next guy doing 90 miles an hour on the highway in formation. It's wild.
Well, I will say it's very similar to bike riding and bike racing. When you're racing your bike at 30, 40 miles an hour, just like what you say like when you watch the Tour of France, they're like almost touching each other and they're going fast around corners. Obviously, you don't have motorcycles in the mix and they're going faster, but it's dangerous. It's the same thing. You have to get very used to comfortable being around other people and trusting that no one's going to do anything crazy. Yeah. And shit can still happen.
Yeah.
So when you do that, are you like, holy shit, I'm in the Hell's Angels? Because you're a young kid. Like, I mean, I'm just trying to think from my own perspective how I'd be like, man, like Hell's Angels. I hear that. I'm like, I'm scared. I'm like, I don't want to be around those guys. They're dangerous.
Yeah. So for me, I mean, these guys were coming to my house. My mother loved these guys. My father loved these guys. When I went to prison, you know, because of my own doing, you know what I'm saying? Everybody says, well, you did that for the club. I did what I did for me, like, you know? So, I mean, nobody forced me. I didn't become a Hell's Angel because I wanted to listen what people told me to do.
Yeah.
I do my own thing. And that's what I think a misconception is about the club. We do our own thing. We're men. We do our own men. But these are guys that went and took care of my family. Every birthday my father had, they were there. Any event, they would invite my family. So these were people that were coming down my house, having dinner with us.
Yeah.
To me, you have this concept that you see and you're like, oh my God, like, you know, this is this. So your personal opinion and your perception, which has been shaped by things other than personal experience, makes you believe what you believe. But I believed something, you know, much different.
I got you. Well, let's talk about the case because that's going to set the table for a lot of these stories and a lot of the case and why you got sentenced to what you got sentenced to. But were you beefing with another group, another motorcycle gang? So what happened on the night you got arrested, the crime, like walk through the whole thing?
I mean, my basically the crux of my case is for running down a rival gang member and killing him. That's
you
what
were in a car, he was on a motorbike.
Yeah. And that's what, I mean, so every news article, I'm not telling you anything that you couldn't just look up on the computer and see. So that's the crux of the case, okay? And at some point in my life, I mean, I was heavily involved in, you know, achieving my own needs because I wanted to prove to everybody I was the toughest guy on the block.
Yeah.
And I think I told you this before we sat down is I proved it to everybody but myself. And unfortunately, I proved it to the federal government. They gave me 35 years for it. So, I was living a grandiose vision because my first day in prison, I went there and said to myself, hey, John, how did you think this was all going to play out? You think you was going to do this for the rest of your life? Like you think this was, you know, so I had this vision in my head about who I wanted to be and who I wanted people to perceive me as. So I think violence was an end to achieve those means. And yeah, I killed a guy. I put a hammer in another guy's head. And, you know, these were all feathers in my cap, you know, and I'm sure, you know, I strengthened my standing in my organization and with people around me. They're like, don't mess with these guys. This guy.
I'd say.
Yeah. And, you know, that's basically it in a nutshell.
When you ran the guy over, just out of curiosity, were you looking for this guy? Like, how did you saw the guy with a rival patch and just were like, fuck this guy, I'm running him over.
So, I mean, I was out looking for him. You know,
for
I was out looking for these people.
Person.
Yeah, well,
or the whole crew.
A particular crew. You know, I knew that these guys, from what I had heard from law enforcement, is that they wanted to harm me and my friends.
Okay.
So that was the impetus for that.
Okay. And then you saw him and you were like, gotcha.
Yeah, well, I tracked them down and I knew what I was going to do.
Okay. But you ran him over in your own car?
Yeah, my own car.
You didn't think like maybe I rent one?
There was you know what? So there was a lack of thinking, right? Like rational thinking. At this point in time, I feel like I don't care in front of God and everybody. I don't care. Yeah. Like I got a gun in my pants, you know, I don't care. Like whatever, come and get me and then we'll figure it out then.
I got you. And you had never been to jail before?
Never been to jail before, but I've had a lot of run-ins up until that point with the law. But here's the thing that kind of jaded me a little bit, that kind of spoiled me a little bit. Every time I had a case, the witness never showed up. They were persuaded not to.
I got you. Okay, so you run the guy over. What happens immediately after?
So the car became inoperable because there was a motorcycle attached to it, okay? And I get out of my car and I'm starting to run. I got to get out of there. I know I got to get out of there, right? And I remember, because I just said about what Greg said to me. He said, hey, Skinny, you want to be security? And this guy called me like, hey, Skinny. Like, and I turned around like I wanted to fight him. He had a shotgun.
Yeah.
So he's standing there like this, getting ready. No, and I'm like.
A rival guy.
A rival guy. And I'm like, all I could do was run like this. Like I'm waiting to get shot in the back.
Yeah.
And I never did. And I just ran over a fence. And then at some point in time, I ran over so many fences. I remember vividly two things. I'm running as fast as I can to these fences, and now I'm just not even hopping them. I'm just running as fast as I can, and my weight's taking me over them. If you can imagine that.
Just in total panic.
That's it. Just running. No, I'm just running. I'm not feeling nothing. I'm just running. And this has seemed like a more economical way to get over the fence instead of stop and jump and just boom, 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 just run. And I'm falling over these fences because they're like, waist-high fences. But I remember there was a cookout going on. It was a summer day, July 29th,
So this happened in the middle of the day?
Right in the middle of the
Okay.
day. I had 2 wheels on the street and 2 wheels on an island.
Okay.
That's how I accelerated.
Gotcha.
So now as I'm running, I remember seeing this family there. There's 2 things I remember. This family, they were having a cookout. And I remember this guy seeing me running, and obviously I'm bloody. And the guy's like, he's getting ready to say, hey, yo, my man, what are you doing? He went like this, he went. And I remember he was like, he was ready to like take an opposition that I was in his yard until he got horrified and seen like the look in my eye and seen my motion and to see just like, yo, I'll steamroll you and everybody in my way. And he was like, I seen like the like terror in his eyes, and I just kept going. And he didn't say nothing to me, and everybody just stopped talking and was like they had just seen a ghost.
Yeah.
And then vividly remember, because now it turned into night, it turned into darkness.
Where is this?
This was in right near. It was in Weymouth, Massachusetts. It was a hospital. I remember the hospital, but it was Weymouth, Massachusetts, definitely, because the Weymouth murder detectives came to my house afterwards.
Yeah.
So, but I remember now darkness started to fall, and I was in this little bit of this like creek, and I was halfway in the creek and halfway into this bush, and I was completely hidden. And then I was waiting for darkness, because under the cover of darkness, you're going to try to get away broad daylight. No, but I remember, and I'm just sitting there like this, laying, waiting for it to get darker so I can move. I had lost my beeper. I lost everything that was on me. I was trying to communicate with people. I needed somebody to come and get me. And I remember I looked in a window, and I seen this guy with the TV on, and he had a cup of coffee, and he was sitting down. Now, his back's to me. He can't see me. He don't know anything. He's just sipping a cup of coffee, and I'm sitting there, and I thought to myself at that very moment, John, your life will never be that easy again, ever. You just went into this you just broke a whole new ground here.
Jesus. So how did you get home?
I managed to get to a payphone, call somebody to come and get me.
And they came, get you, go home, and then what happens?
So I didn't go home, because when I read the paper, as I was driving, as somebody picked me up, the first thing they did was throw me the paper, and I seen that the guy got killed that I ran over. So I knew right away it was going to be a murder investigation, so I didn't go anywhere near home.
How long did it take for them to catch you?
So what happened was the feds are cunning, bro, and insidious. They will rock you all the way to sleep. You're good. Listen, you know what they told my lawyer? We know he's in New York. We seen him in New York already. Just tell him to come back. All we want to do is fingerprint him and photo him. He's good. We're not going to arrest him.
And you believe them?
They didn't. Listen, they had an agreement with me. I went back, got fingerprinted, photoed, and on my way. And I went back to selling drugs. And I knew at some point, right, that the shoe's going to drop, right? But you asked me, John, you ran this guy over with your own car? Yeah. So based upon that philosophy and that method of thinking, I just went, I'm just going to keep selling drugs and make money until they come get me. If they come get me, maybe they won't come get me.
So were there moments where you're like, I can't believe they're not going to arrest me for killing that guy?
So what do you have to say to yourself? My friend used to say it all the time. He ended up being a stool pigeon. But anyway, he was like, they're building a case on us. I'm like, man, what are you worried about that for? We got tonight. Listen, it's Friday night. Yeah. They didn't come. Yeah. Me and my friend used to be in the tanning booth on a Friday night. You're like, we ain't going away this weekend, buddy.
Tanning booth.
Right. Every night, every Friday we go get a tan, right? And you'd be like, because if they're not coming Saturday or Sunday morning.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? So we're like, we made another week, kid.
Yeah. All right. So when did they eventually get you?
So it was September 5th, 1996. I was living with a girl away from right up the street from my mother's house, my mother and father's house. And, ripped the doors down and come and, ripped me out of my bed. That was September 5th, 1996.
It's always surprising that they're like, hey, come in, get fingerprinted photo. Yeah, no problem. That they wouldn't just be like, hey, come on down. We want to talk to you again.
What they said. So here's the thing. like, I was explaining a little bit about the upward departure and how I didn't get indicted for the murder. They threatened to indict me for the murder. But here's what they did, and here's our argument, which fails all the time, is we were like, all they're doing now is, because I kept selling drugs, right?
Yeah.
And they had an undercover agent that I was selling drugs to.
Okay.
So all they were doing was kept upping the quantity of the drugs until it triggered a 20-year mando.
Got it.
You know what I'm saying? Mandatory minimum.
And if you're committing acts of violence, especially murder, while you're selling drugs, all of a sudden...
All they're doing is just like, hey, what's up, Johnny? Yeah. No, you're good. Just let's just make a full-length movie of this.
Oh,
you know what I'm
God.
saying? So, but that's, there's like almost an innocence in thinking you're getting away with murder.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, I'm cool.
So explain now how you they know that you killed this guy. You're in your own
1000%.
car.
They
Everyone
have
knows.
people telling them already.
But they also have drug charges on you. Explain how you avoid pleading guilty to a murder and you took the drug charges so that the people understand, so that we can get into your experiences in prison, and then obviously we'll get into your redemption story. But the sentencing story, to me, I found fascinating, because I'm like, how do they justify not hitting you with a murder charge?
Right.
Worrying about drug charges, but go tell
Right,
that.
sure. And it's because anybody that doesn't know nothing about the case, this is where I always talk about, like, make sure you got paperwork on somebody before calling them a rat. Like, the guy didn't get a life sentence, he's a rat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
but the thing is with my case is they had enough drugs to give me 27 years.
Okay.
Right? And what I received from the federal government was, hey, you know what? We can make all this stop today. You take a 35-year plea agreement. And the way we'll do this 35-year plea agreement is we'll give you 27 years for the drugs, right? And we'll give you an 8-year upward departure for the murder and the attempted murder. And what we'll do there is we won't indict you. We'll just say not guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, which a jury has to find you, or a judge, but we'll say due to a preponderance of the evidence. So we have some leeway there to make this easy for you. Give me 35 years, make it easy for me. But so your friends won't get in trouble. We're going to give you a list of these guys. This guy's not going to have to come back and testify before the grand jury. This guy's not going to have to get indicted.
Why did they want to just get such a conviction on you when they know they have you dead to rights? Why did they want to take such an easy route for themselves? To me, this seems like a great deal for you. Like, you could be facing a death sentence, and if nothing else, natural life, a murder, and you're drug dealing, you're in the Hells Angels, like, you're screwed.
Yeah. And
why would they do this plea?
So again, like a lot of these things, I always say that I can't get into their heads and tell you why they did this, right? My interpretation of the thing, of the whole case was, there's always been a problem with the evidence.
Got it.
The car. To put me in the car, you could have people put you in the car, but do you want to take that chance?
Yeah.
Because my father went to the grand jury, right? And this is where the handsome story comes in. My father was, my best friend. He's passed away now. A mentor to me. Never ever condoned anything that I ever done illegally, but was fascinated with me being in the club. Loved me and was like, kid, don't worry about it. Used to come to jail and say, hey, kid. He wasn't like, why'd you do this? He was like, kid, don't worry about it, kid. 30 years out, 30 years in, 30 years out. I'll be here when you get here. So, and he was the best soldier. On his deathbed in cancer, he told me, you know what, John, I'll be here when you get home. I'm getting better. He was dying. He's a soldier.
Yeah.
Without a doubt, 100%. But he said in the grand jury, right, they were like, Mr. Bartolomeo, you were there the day that your son's car was taken out of the driveway. He says, yeah, he goes, people take the car all the time. Maybe John's friends. Keys are always in it.
Yeah.
Maybe John's friends take it. The brother will take it. I'll take it. I don't know. Somebody comes in the driveway. I'm not going to question them. They're John's friend. He goes, well, what did your son look like on July 29th, 1995? He says, I see him all the time. He's my best friend. Yeah. He goes, what do you look? He goes, well, what do you mean? What did he look like? He's my son. He's my kid. Well, did he have long hair? Did he have short hair? Did he have a beard? He goes, I really can't remember. He goes, well, listen, on July 29th, 1995, what did he look like? And he said, handsome, handsome kid. And that was it. They ended the grand jury questioning. But that was my father.
Yeah.
So that was the handsome story. Yeah. Everybody always laughs about the handsome story. But my father was just like that. My mother be in the front row with the St. Anthony, smartest lady in the whole crowd. And when they ask a question, I don't know. I don't know how. What do I do? What do I say? I don't know. Listen, the best.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there was a lot of evidentiary issues. And that was the thing. When this case was widely publicized in the media. It was in USA Today, but that was the biggest thing. There's a lot of evidentiary issues with this case. That was the big thing that they always
and their
say.
risk is that they take you to trial, because obviously you're going to go to trial. This, and if they don't convict you, you're walking out of there free.
Well, I'm saying I'm still gonna. There's no way I can evade the drug charges.
Oh, you still have the drug charges.
You know what I mean?
On camera there,
but. Who knows? Maybe somebody might say, "Hey, listen, they lied about this stuff. They're trying to do this, and this. This guy, who knows?" But
Okay.
it was simple for them.
Still a 35-year sentence. Still a good win for the prosecutor.
You think? Yeah. Jeffrey Locke was the state prosecutor. Was like, I'm going to waive all the crimes because it was a murder. I was going to get tried by Norfolk County. Yeah. That was one of our issues. We said, well, we might go to trial we might plead out to the drug charges and go to trial for second-degree murder in the state. Why not? Yeah. But these were things that we were saying. Obviously, when this whole thing came about, guys from the club come up and talked to me and said, John, we'll get the money. We'll get you a lawyer. There's one thing you have to understand about the club for me. People, I always see these like specials about like mob individuals, guys, like, that were telling, that were cooperating, like they were going to kill my family. I mean, I had the complete opposite. Anything I ever needed from guys in the club that were my friends and guys in the club, that was a common denominator, that they were in the club. It's not the club as an entity. These guys are my friends. These guys are my brothers. These guys I loved. Yeah. Do anything for, And so they've paid anything I ever wanted. Anything.
They paid the lawyers and everything?
Well, we didn't. We chose not
to fight.
To fight it. So my brother come up. He was like, hey, listen, well, whatever you want us to do. I said, I'm going to take the 35 years. I'm going to save people. Then it's simple. Nobody got to pay anything.
Yeah.
And that, that's part of the cult following that I have that kind of springboarded into Instagram, springboarded into, why I've kind of been successful on social media, because I always had that cult following before any of this was even existent.
So now let's get into it. You get sentenced. Where do you go right from sentencing? I always find this part so appealing because I'm thinking if I'm in court and they're like, you're going for 35 years, I'm like, oh my God, what hellhole am I?
I had no bail. So from the first day they busted my door down, I was incarcerated.
And I always tell people, anytime I've interviewed anyone that's been to prison, I always highlight the fact that for people that don't know, you're innocent until proven guilty. So when you have no bail, it's basically like they have you so dead to rights guilty. Most of the time. Sometimes they F you and they're like, I mean, even with Diddy, like say what you want about Diddy, but like until he gets convicted, he's innocent technically. So to not get bail is a big deal.
It's a huge deal, Ken, and I'm going to tell you why. The biggest huge deal is if you're going to trial on the street, right? Arduous process, right? You got to prepare for trial. You're in your house. You're talking with your lawyer. You're going back and forth. Picture being in jail. They wake you up at 3 o'clock in the morning to go to court at 8. Hold on. You're getting handcuffed and shackled. You're in a cage waiting for everybody to get ready, for the cops to take you. They get you up at 3. You get a bologna sandwich. You leave at 7. Right? You go to court for the whole day, get back at 7 at night till you get processed back to your cell. It's 10 o'clock. Then you start again at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, no, I used to drive people to court when I was working at the prison. It was horrible.
Never. So I didn't. Number one is I wasn't doing that. I was, scared to do that. But I mean, of course, that was our ploy up until I just said, hey, I'm going to take the deal. So I was in prison from day one. So now...
Where were you being held for?
I was at Wyatt Detention Facility in Central Falls, Rhode Island for the first part of it.
So hold on, that's a federal facility?
So it's a private facility run by Cornell Corrections, or it was when I was...
But it was under federal jurisdiction.
Well, the Marshals had a contract. So I was in the custody of the United States Marshals. So until you're sentenced, if you're pretrial, you're in custody of the United States Marshals.
Why Marshals versus the state of Massachusetts?
Because the Marshals are the jurisdiction is federal. So the United States Marshals have custody of you.
How do you qualify as federal, though? Murder's a state charge.
So... A very interesting question, right? So the feds don't even have a murder charge. Right. You can't get indicted federally if you kill somebody on the street. It's a state charge.
Yep.
But how they did this was organized crime, they said, right? Yep. But the impetus of all this was the drugs.
Okay.
So piggybacked on the drug charges, they have ways that they can indict you federally for, like violating interrupting interstate commerce,
Yep.
murder in the aid of racketeering, RICO murder. They have some special designations that they can put onto a murder charge, and that's what they did with me.
So the feds wanted you to be charged federally. So
And
so you're
murder in the aid of racketeering.
So you're in Wyatt. What's that like when you're in there? Are there Boston guys there?
So there's a lot of Boston guys there, but you have to understand, Ken, this is my first time ever being incarcerated.
That's what I mean. That's why I find it so interesting.
When they take me that day, now, don't forget, I got a different mindset today than I did back then, right? My first mindset, and then what I said to everybody is when we come out and we got a table, I said, listen, we're getting this table every day. This is going to be our table, and I just want you to listen. I know it's a nightmare, right? We're in the middle of a nightmare right now. Look around. Look at this. If these suckers can do it, we got to do it.
Yeah.
So you've got no choice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's basically what I said. But there was a lot of pretrial people there. There was state prisoners mixed in, county prisoners mixed in for DUIs.
It's a very dangerous place for that reason. You got someone who's there on a murder charge, and a guy who's got a $10,000 DUI case, and you're like,
can't pay bail.
You can't have these savages next to this guy. Guy's never been in jail in his life.
100%.
Because Bill Ricca had a jail section too, and like they had the Cambridge. I hated working in the jail too because it was like people that couldn't make a $500 bail. Like,
it's a shame.
And then you got people who are like real guys where you're like, dude, and it's difficult for everyone. Hey guys, want to tell you quickly about Row Nutrition's NAD Plus, one of the greatest energy sources I've ever tried. NAD Plus, if you don't know, is the energy source for mitochondria. Mitochondria has been called the fuel cells of the body, so their function is critically important, and without NAD Plus, nothing happens. Prior to discovering Row Nutrition's liposomal NAD Plus, I only knew of NAD Plus to be delivered via injection, and honestly, that's a bit of a pain in the neck and cost prohibitive. Row Nutrition has taken the stress out of the delivery system and made it cost effective. This stuff is awesome. I've been taking it for over a year. I'm running about 70 to 80 miles a week at 54 years old, and yeah, NAD Plus keeps me going. I take it every single day, first thing in the morning. Highly recommend it. Go to rownutrition.com. Use the promo code Rideout to save some money. Again, rownutrition.com. Use the promo code Rideout. Boom. So when you get sentenced, where do you go?
So when I get sentenced, the day I get sentenced to 420 months, right? It's 35 years. You know what I said to the judge. I made a speech in court saying that, to the judge that, hey, look, you know what? My father tells me that men do manly things. I'm not putting the focus on nobody else. I'm here taking responsibility for what I did. They asked me if I ran over and killed a guy. I said, yes, I did. And I didn't have to, but I did. I was saying, I'll take responsibility for that. That's me, And I said, if you and I were in a foxhole, Your Honor, and the enemy was all around us and they wanted the secrets of the United States, we'd either die together or live together, and he didn't like that. He went to some theatrical response, about, you've done nothing but serve your own needs. Don't sully the names of people that have served the country. And in hindsight, I understand it. You know what I mean? But back then I was like, yeah, whatever. And then I give you a little excerpt of what I said in the sentencing transcripts. But what I used to call it, I used to have my paperwork, and I used to say to convicts or people, hey, read this. And I used to say, this is pornography for a convict right here. You're going to get a hard on when you read this, because I prided myself on not only not cooperating, of course, that's a given.
Yeah.
I've never ever patted myself on the back. Oh, I've never cooperated. Just that I took a prison sentence to get people off that day.
Yeah.
When I signed my name, there's a bunch of people who didn't have to worry about anything. So, and then that's what I did. So now when I get sentenced that day, I go back to Plymouth because we actually started a riot in Wyatt. We all got transferred, There was like me and a bunch of my co-defendants that we got into a fight with some people over phones. They were saying, you can't use this phone. I was like, what do you... this phone or that phone? I'm using the phone. I got to call somebody. We ended up getting to a huge riot they transferred all of us. I was the last one to go. So I went to Plymouth. Then some people that got out on bail and whatever the case may be so they took us back to Plymouth. I stayed in Plymouth because what happens is you have to get designated.
Yep.
So you get sentenced. You go to, and then you have to wait a couple months usually, like 60 days. What they do is they classify you in the system, and then at some point they say, "Hey, pack your stuff, you're going."
So you got a 35-year sentence, and you're in Plymouth County Jail.
Imagine.
What the hell?
Yeah, even after I was sentenced, because you have to wait to get transported.
Were the other inmates like, you're doing 35 years and you're in You're a Plymouth
The,
County?
the best was Teddy Sutherland. He's a known Boston gangster. And when I got sentenced, I came back that day and he was like, brother, I'm sorry. I said, what are you talking about, Teddy? I said, I got him right where I want him. Like, I was like convinced I was going to beat them on appeal. And he was like, okay.
All right, so where do you go from Plymouth?
So from Plymouth, they take me back to the federal courthouse, which has been so long that they've changed from the McCormick courthouse to One Courthouse Way, the new elaborate courthouse they have. So, and I was looking all around. I was like, wow, this thing is brand new. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, because don't forget, I get indicted and it's like 13 months later.
Yep.
Before I get my sentence through the whole plea process.
So you've been 13 months between Wyatt and Plymouth?
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah, no, I was in pretrial for almost 3 years.
Those are terrible.
The worst, the worst.
Place.
That's what makes people turn. You think like, I got to do this forever? Like, you know what I mean?
I think, you know what must be like that is like MDC in Manhattan if you're phased there, like where
Don't even mention MDC. I was going to a camp. Your whole life can change in 1 second in MDC. Brutal. Most brutal federal jail I've ever been in my whole life.
In Manhattan, in Brooklyn.
1,000%.
And how about
Atlanta the dirtiest, MDC Brooklyn the most dangerous.
And how about Diddy did like 14 months there? They got
but those, you know why? Those guys are in protective custody. They never go out.
He is?
I don't know. I would assume. I don't know if he was in population.
How about they got Maduro there?
Well, he's not in population. That I can guarantee that.
But he must be isolated.
He is. That's 23 hours a day.
Can you
Brutal.
imagine? You're the president, you get snatched, and you're like 24 hours later, you're sick.
Do you know what kind of a lavish lifestyle? I went from being poor to go to prison. Wasn't really a big. I was like, I'm used to going banging broads and going out and doing my thing, but I'm in jail now. This guy was like, yeah, you do this, you do that. Give me that million. This, build this. Yeah, like
they snatched him and put him in MDC with his wife.
Ooh.
That has to be to get him to admit to something because they got to take your wife too.
Listen,
it's crazy.
Commit suicide.
Yeah,
better option.
So Plymouth,
I go to the federal courthouse, One Courthouse Way in Boston. From there, we take a bus to New Hampshire.
Okay,
into an airstrip. We get on a plane.
Con Air?
Exactly what it is.
Yeah.
1,000%. Con Air. That's the nickname for it. Yeah. So we get onto Con Air. They take us to Oklahoma City. And from Oklahoma City, I wait there to go to Leavenworth Penitentiary.
When you get on Con Air, do they give you the handcuffs and the black box on your hands?
Okay.
What is that?
So anytime that you're going anywhere, you're getting transported, before you leave the cell at the courthouse, you're handcuffed, right?
Yeah.
Shackled.
Yeah.
With a waist chain. In your hands and your wrists are attached to your waist chain.
Yep.
So this is as much. Now, the black box, that's an added layer of protection. I've had it 3 or 4 times in my bid. You know what I'm saying? That particular time, no, I didn't have it.
Okay.
You know, the craziest.
What is it? I've never seen that.
The black box, what it does is completely. So here you have, like, you can eat, you could do this, you can move your wrist. The black box completely immobilizes your hands. So what it does is it puts something here and something here attached to the middle, and this is all your hands can do.
Oh, so you can wiggle your fingers,
That's
but just
it.
barely.
So you're here, and you can't even eat with it. Because, like, with the waist chain, you can get your sandwich and go like this and eat it. You get cramp in your abs, but you can eat.
What happens if you have to use the bathroom? Like, if you genuinely have to go?
Okay, so you go to the bathroom. So you say to the officer, hey, listen, I got to go to the bathroom. So me, I would never eat or drink when I was getting transferred.
Yeah.
I would just completely fast.
Yep.
So I've seen people come out of the bathroom on the air.
Yeah.
Or the airplane.
Yeah.
Put like shit on their pants.
Yeah.
Piss all over their pants.
Oh, because their hands are shackled.
So look, here's the thing. I'm going to tell you what. So you're always going to have to take a leak.
Yeah.
What happened with me is I would go like this, and I pull my pants, like, the band down with one hand.
Yeah.
And it always went back up. The thing would go everywhere. And listen, so every time after that, I got 27 years of experience, right? So I'm like, all I have to do is not let my thumb slip this time.
Yeah.
Now I'm an expert. Now I'm like, don't let my thumb slip. And precisely every single time it slips, I'm like, well, how did I do this again? Am I the stupidest guy on the planet? But just think of how immobilized you are.
Were the guards ever like, yeah, tough luck, you're not going, and people just have to piss themselves?
No,
Really?
Because what happens is so when you're on a plane, it's not a Federal Bureau of Prisons guard on the plane with you. It's the Federal Marshals. It's the Air Marshals. It's a whole different division. And generally, the marshals are all right. I mean, they're not, but it's orderly. It's like, hey, I got to do this now. You ain't doing nothing now. When we have the bathroom break, when we're in the air and the seatbelt light goes off, we're going to go row by row. And you're going to go to the bathroom.
Oh, okay.
Until then, nobody's doing anything.
Got it.
You wouldn't even, you'd have people on the, but listen, it's just a waste of breath. Just wait until they're ready and go.
Did you ever hear of anyone or see of anyone try and organize like an escape, like an elaborate, like when they're transporting us, we're going to try and break, like the Hells Angels said, Johnny, we're going to get you out on the transport.
Yeah.
Did you ever see anything like that?
Precisely the opposite, right? So what I've seen is people... I've never seen that. No, that's the answer to the question, the initial. What I've seen is people break down and have like attacks. Like they can't fly. Like, people are scared to fly, but we need to take you by bus. Oh, I'm sorry. Do you have a phobia of planes? What? Too bad. Like, oh my God. Throwing up all over themselves. Yeah, I've seen it. Oh my God. Yeah, I've seen it. And I'm like, you just sit there and you're like, it's hard. When you talk about it now, right, it's almost like a fantasy life that never really happened, that I've read a book and I'm talking to you about all this stuff. But when you're experiencing it,
You're just doing it.
Well, I'm just saying to myself, like, no matter what happened, I'd be saying to myself, like, bro, toughen up. You let people see you're a fucking pussy. Don't do that. You know what I mean? But now, looking back on it now, like, the guy's got a fear of flying. I mean, think about that.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I think about, like, you have the mindset where I can see you going through that. But when I think of a guy like Ian Bick, I'm like, oh my God. I'm almost scared for him thinking about what's
So I don't think really Ian traveled that much. Ian was only...
He did go Con Air and he did a bunch of bus trips too.
Yeah.
And he said he got the black box once.
Yeah. I mean, listen, Ian... As quiet as it, I love Ian Bick.
I do too.
He's my boy. I love him. Yeah, right. I'm saying, picture what he went through. Everybody thought he was a pedophile.
Yeah.
He got the look of it.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And we've talked about it, McLovin. We've talked about it a million times. But I love Ian Bick, what he's doing, everything he's doing. And he never told on nobody.
Nope.
Kid's solid.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
No, I like him. I just can't imagine a guy like that. He's like the most normal guy. Right. You can't imagine him. That's why I always find these stories interesting when someone who has no experience. I mean, you obviously were around crime and doing crime, but you had no experience in prison. So when you get to Oklahoma City, what happens?
So Oklahoma City, I remember the one thing that stands out in my head is I remember that we're going to Leavenworth Penitentiary. I know where I'm designated to. So I find out when I get there.
What the F is there? Still like that little kid voice where you're like, I'm going to
Leavenworth Penitentiary. And you know what the worst part is? When I get there, they're like, I went into the counselor's office. Yeah, I got bad news for you. Going to Leavenworth? Yeah, there was a murder there. So it's locked down for probably going to be about 2 weeks before you get there. They just killed 2 people over there. So it's going to be locked down for a little while. They're not letting nobody go back and forth, anything. They're not doing any movement. It's all locked down. So after it gets back opened up, you'll be going there. And I'm like, all right, people get murdered there all the time now. This is crazy. You know what I mean? And I remember I felt like I got raped. Like pillows are like high real estate.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Somebody stole my pillow out of my cell when I was out rec.
At Oklahoma City?
Yeah, in Oklahoma City. And, and I asked around and I'm like, is anybody going on my cell? He said, nah, you know what I'm saying? And I never found out, but down the road, somebody stole something from me before, and I had a real bad episode with it. I ended up getting transferred back to a penitentiary for getting into a wreck because it's like the worst thing you could ever do to somebody in jail.
Right?
And especially if you're like a stand-up guy, you know what I mean? And it just eats at you. It's like, people think I'm trying to
let anyone steal your stuff.
I got this reputation to uphold. Like, and you always say, like, if somebody steals something from you, I'm murdering them. Now you gotta, so it's a pretty bad feeling. And just for a pillow, and it's always such a foreign. Just being in prison for me was such the most foreign feeling ever. People say you get used to it, this and that. When I had that furlough I talked about after 21 and a half years, everybody said, you're going to be so shell-shocked. Wait till you get out there. Things are moving too fast. Ken, when I got out there, right, it was like I never left the street. It was like I was talking to the taxi driver. Yo, what's up? I mean, give him a $20 tip. Went into Dunkin' Donuts, got a coffee. Hey, sweetheart, what's up? Give her a tip. She was like, oh, my God. Listen, best day of my life. When I got back to prison, that's when I felt like I was shell-shocked. Being out of prison for me, it's like people say, seamless integration, I said.
Yeah.
Because this is normal for me. That's not normal.
Right. So when they steal your pillow, like how long does it take you to get another pillow?
I got another pillow. I just, what happens is, In Oklahoma City, it's a transfer center.
Yeah. So
It's an
transient.
FTC. So people come and go every day. I just went into a empty cell the next day and got another pillow.
Yeah.
It was easy, but it was just the principle of it. And then I was looking at these, and you always got the guy you think it is. It's this.
Yeah.
I know it's this mother. I know it. And it's probably the last person that did it.
So when you go to Leavenworth, do you link up with all the Boston guys?
All the Boston guys. Yeah.
So, like, what kind of guys were there?
So, I mean, bank robbers from Charlestown, a lot of Charlestown guys. There's always a huge Boston car in all these federal penitentiaries and mediums. But Boston, you know, and don't forget, I was in the club at the time, and the club had a table in the back that other guys were sitting at, that I went there and I said, hey, I know Mark left this table for guys in the club. I'm in the club. This is my table. You guys can sit here for now. I'm going to sit with the Boston guys, but when it comes time for me and some people that come here, we're taking this table. And they were like, yeah, cool. This is Mark's table. I'm holding it down for him. I got you.
And they were just other white guys in there.
It's also, it's very racially, divisive in prison. Very segregated. So the whites sat with the whites,
Yep.
the blacks sat with the blacks, and with the whites was also the islanders, like people from Guam, people from Hawaii. You know what I'm saying? Those are the most dangerous people in prison, was the islanders. The sweetest people, but the most dangerous. And then the Spanish, the Mexican sat with the California Emmy, and like the Serenos, they sat with us as well. We all sat together. They were all serious guy. Everybody got it's basically in the penitentiary, it's the blacks against everybody else, and everybody else against the blacks, because there's such a predominant number of blacks in there,
Well, the other reason that when we were talking about this, that in a federal prison there's a disproportionate amount of blacks too, because if you live in D.C. and get charged with a crime, you're in feds.
100%.
So all of a sudden you got every single person charged with and D.C. is a dangerous city. It's a big city, and everyone arrested there is going to federals.
Right, 100%.
So they have their own basic.
And like we talked about earlier, there was people from Dorchester, my homeboy Herb, black dude, that I loved like a brother. Like he's like one of my favorite guys in the whole. This guy Bam, who was 70, I think it was 67 Hoover Crip. I loved him. We talked every night. But when something happened, it just separated, and then afterwards everybody was cool again. You know what I'm saying? It was the way it was.
I found it interesting too, but it was only in the highest level of security, right? So if a black guy from Boston came in, everyone would be cordial. Hey, what's up? You could chit chat, but you wouldn't sit together for dinner, for lunch, or eat.
No,
but
not in the penitentiary.
At a medium?
At a medium, yeah, it was every bit. It was Boston against the world. Oh, that's the way it was. We were all together.
No, we were talking about this on the way here. I've lived in a lot of places and seen a lot of things, and Boston people are definitely the most unique, especially when it comes to things like that. Like if there's a fight, it's like Sean O'Brien, the Teamsters president. Him and his friends were like the equivalent of me and my friends. I'd see them at a place and I'd be like, oh shit, those fucking kids from Medfed here, Sean O'Brien. Is he drinking? Oh,
yeah, right.
But if I see him now, I'm like, hey, what's up?
Of course,
it's like, so it's that kind of vibe in prison.
We get older, you know what I'm saying? I mean, we mellow out a little bit. They call it, there's a term to it. It's called aged out, especially people in prison. We're working on that with the guy Kevin McTaggart right now.
Yeah, what's the details with that?
So, I mean, he's got a resume that's unparalleled in prison. He saved an officer's life, and, a long time ago, she was getting violated, and she was going to get beat up, she was going to get raped, and he just, neutralized the whole situation and was commended for it,
With the other inmates, like, why are you helping
don't
the guards?
Don't you think it's us against them? You know what I'm saying? So that's something he had to wear, and a lot of flack that people took that were around him. He's my friend. He's a great guy, solid. He's from the west side of Cleveland, had a huge organized crime case, obviously never told on any of his friends, never told on anything. That guy Danny Green, that, was the head of that whole organization, I don't know if it's true or not, but I've heard other things about him. I know he's passed away now, but Kev's still rotting in prison as a result of it. Kev's a solid guy, great guy. He just knew how to work both sides of the system.
White guy?
Yeah.
But if it was a male guard, he wouldn't be able to protect him.
And so it's just about your moral compass, because the way
it would be less likely.
The way it is in there, right, Ken? It's us against them.
Yeah.
You were on the other side of it. You know that. You felt that.
I will tell you this. If there was an incident in Billerica where shit was going down, I'm very confident that several inmates would be like, no, this key's with us. At the place where I worked, everyone kind of grew up together. Like I worked there with Mickey Wood, the fighter, and Dickie Eklund, his brother, was an inmate. If someone was going to mess with Mickey, half those guards would be like, we'll kill him
Right.
kill you before you let him.
And just think that's geographically close to where you grew up.
Yeah.
The feds is different,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because now nobody knows anybody. That's why paperwork is a big thing. If we're both in county jail, I get the paper every day. I know that's that dude Ken. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Oh, he's a good guy.
Yeah.
You know, so you would know that. But in the feds, it's a little different.
Yeah,
you know?
of course.
And so, but it's just that dynamic. It's a moral compass. Now, you know, I'm not anti-police.
Yeah.
I'm just not my position anymore.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just, you know, my whole, you know, philosophy has changed in life, you know, so.
So you get to Leavenworth. How long are you in Leavenworth?
So I'm in Leavenworth for 5 years. I did 5 years. No, that's when it was the hot house. That's when it was a pretty serious place.
I read a book called The Hot House about it when it was like really
Tommy Silverstein and them. That was after Silverstein.
What was it like day to day? Were you on constant edge? Was it like being in war, like where you're just like, okay, head on a swivel, like shit can go down? Or was there ever days where you're like, I'm just in the routine, it's all good, friendly with everyone?
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, interesting question, right? But so I always say that these places, all of them, from minimum security to maximum security, they're basically all the same, but they have their days, right? And then the maximum security has more days than the others, you know?
Really?
So,
I thought the maximum would be more chill because they're serious guys. So when it jumps off, it was much more dangerous, but not as frequent.
So you always have your head on a swivel.
Yeah.
You know, I do anywhere I go now, you know what I'm saying? I'm just programmed by prison. But the day-to-day is routine, right? Doing your thing, reading your book. I'm going to go to work, got to do this. You know, you plan in your days like you're planning your days today. Yep. But now you start to smell it in the air. Like you start, the environment, you'll hear somebody's sneakers go, and you're like, oh, you know, you'll start hearing like the whispers like, yo, these dudes, they're messing up. These dudes, you know, these whoever they are, this group, say a group, like they can't be doing this no more. So now people start congregating. What's up, man? I don't know. You know, like this. Somebody took a table in the Chow hall. That was like the biggest thing. This guy Steve Kessler, like the whole dynamic of the prison changed. And I was like, he's like, well, you just.
What happened? So
what happened was there was this group, a gang, that tried to take a table in the white section. The very
Black
first.
Gang.
No, not a black gang, a Hispanic, basically.
Okay.
But there's all different races in this gang. And they were sitting at this table, you know, they took this table, and there was a Chinese guy that used to sit at the table. And I seen he had this, you know, like, he had just ate a shit sandwich look. He left. And I was like, yo, what are these dudes doing? My friend Paul, he's like, oh, relax, easy. I want to get up and say something.
Whose table is it?
So it's the white table. It's in the section, like the Chinese dudes sat there, the Islanders. Okay. There's a bunch of people that sat in our section, right? So, and I explained this story a lot, but.
Where did the guys sit the day before they decided to take
they just got out of the hole. They just came. They were coming from another institution.
A few of them.
Yes.
Okay.
There was a whole crew of them because they ran out of another yard. Maybe they had a problem there.
And they send them all together?
Well, see, what happens is say if me and you were in a gang.
Yeah.
And then there's another gang that's, you know, having a problem with us. They get one gang off the yard. Okay. And they keep one gang, right?
So they send all the guys, though, together to the new facility?
They got to send a bunch, right? Because they all just got transferred together. Okay. So 4 or 5 of them maybe get there. Or 2 or 3 of them got there. And they're like, we got to find the table. We got to hold the table down for our boys and our crew. So when they get here, they got a place to sit, place to eat, place to watch TV.
What would be the normal protocol if they don't just go, I'm taking this? What would be the normal? Like a new guys come in, they're like, hey guys, where can I sit?
Right. You find where you sit. You know what I'm saying? I could walk in a Chow hall today and know where I sit.
Would you ask someone like, hey,
no,
where do the
I don't ask nobody nothing. But I would be up in the unit and I'd be like, hey, you're Johnny? What's up, bro? What's going on? I'm Lariat from Charlestown. That's who I met when I first got in. When it comes to when we go to Chow, come with me. I'll show you what a table is. It's it's not something like, hey, what do I? You know what I mean?
I'm just curious if like 5
your
guys
boys.
come in and
your boys will be like, see. So I'm a bad case study.
Yeah.
Because everybody knew my case. It was in the Boston Herald. It was on the USA Today, and guys were like, yo, what's up, Johnny? Yo, I say, yo, I was just in. Plymouth with Phil Myers, and this was before Phil Myers turned to be an informant. And it was like, "Oh, Phil, all right, yeah, what's up? Blah blah blah. Oh, John, I read about you. Oh, listen, come to Tommy's. We're gonna show you. Oh, this is Tommy. He's from Rhode Island. Oh, this the dude that sell this. Hey, if Johnny wants something, just put it on my bill for now. I got.
Okay.
It's just like
I got you.
When I come to your house tonight to hang out, you're not gonna be like, hey, hey, this is Johnny. He's my friend. Sit down, make yourself at home, right?
Yeah, of course.
So it's the same thing. It's basically the same protocol.
So the guy's sitting at the table. What happens?
So they sit at the table, and I want to immediately just say, yo, you can't sit there. I want to go. And my friend Paulie's like, whoa, relax. Don't worry about it. This is going to take care of itself. Don't worry about it. So then we see this guy, Steve Kessler, who is like, you know, run stuff for the white guys, one of my dearest friends in prison.
Like a shot caller?
Yeah. So, but he's just a guy that's a dangerous guy. He was in Oregon State Penitentiary, killed a guard, fucking escaping from Rocky Butte jail. He was on the run. They caught him. They said he was the most dangerous prisoner in Oregon. He's too dangerous to be housed in Oregon. We got to put him in the federal system. And that's the guy.
Okay.
So anyway, I build a relationship with him. My homeboys take me to him, say, this is our friend, blah, blah, blah. This is a good guy. I start running the gambling ticket with him. We become best friends. Okay. And it was the only guy I had tears in my eyes when I was leaving him. That's how close we got together. So I see him at lunch and I'm like, yo, Kess, these guys, they're trying to, he's like, Jesus Christ, I can never win with you. Like, can you just be quiet? Let me eat my lunch and then we'll talk about it after I want to eat my fries and not get argued. Like, you know what I'm saying? He's like an Oregon guy. So afterwards, he was like, don't worry about it. Just come down to the Chow Hall tonight. And I'm like, all right. So he's looking out for me. I'm like the youngster, right? And he like took a liking to me. And I'm probably one of the youngest guys on with this whole crew and all the Boston guys. I see them doing all these things. Everybody's getting prepared. And I'm like, what's up? He goes, yeah, we got taking plastic knives down the Chow Hall. I'm like, nobody told me to take a plastic knife, but, right? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, what am I? Like, am I a scumbag or something? Yeah. So just don't worry. Just come down the Chow Hall. So I sit at the table with Steve Kessler. We had taken that table back from the guy that was a Hell's Angel table. And we got that table and we were sitting there with a few of our guys. And he was like, just come and take a walk with me. Now, everybody got jugs in the Chow Hall. They got plastic knives. Everybody in this whole Chow Hall is ready to go right now. Yeah. Every person that I know that I've met at this place, this is like 9 months after I get there. So Kessler goes over there. And I always say it's the most impressive and the most impactful thing I've ever seen without violence in my life. He went over to the table. There was like two guys like standing up at the table, like guard, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're taking this, we're guarding this with our lives. And there was a guy that was a shot caller for them. He was a black guy and he was in a Hispanic gang. And he said, hey, my man, do you mind if me and my friend take a seat right now? We just want to have a word with you. And the guy like kind of bowed up, went, yeah, go ahead. So now I'm over there with this guy. He's got some plan that I know nothing about. I'm like, I just walked over here with this guy that's a mental case that everybody's like, what are you doing hanging out with Kessler? You know what that guy did? Like, didn't you? And he's like, hey, listen, guys, my name's Steve Kessler. I understand what you guys are doing. If this was my friends, I would do the exact same thing you're doing. I get it 100%. He says, but I just want to let you guys know that there's a Chow Hall full of people in here willing to die for this table tonight. So you guys enjoy your dinner and we'll talk later. And left. And they never sat there again. It was the most impactful thing I've ever seen without violence in my life. And I just went over there and I'm thinking to myself as I'm walking away, I go, I'm going to kill these guys over this table? They ain't going to leave. They just sat there. We're going to have to kill these guys. I'm involved in this? You're taking me on this murder spree with you? You already going to do life in prison. Yeah. You know, on the inside, right? We talk about like sucking our thumb on the inside, right? But having this outward front, like whatever, let's do it. You know? So that was that. And they never sat there again. They kind of fit in where they got in. I don't even know what happened to them. It wasn't an issue.
So who took the tape?
So it was our table. The Chinese guy sat back there. Nobody else sat back there again.
So the whole table was empty. You just kept it on reserve.
No, people sat there. There was a Chinese guy. Then a couple guys was like, hey, you know what? We're going to go sit at this table and have breakfast. Like our guys. Okay. It was like, you know what? Hey, you know what? We're going to go move over there. Yeah. Like, what's up? So we're eating here, you know? Yeah. And they just kind of found out where they fit in.
I gotcha. Where'd you go from Leavenworth?
So from Leavenworth, I went to Petersburg. I was supposed to go to Schuylkill. Petersburg was brand new. It was, you know, one of the worst jails. I didn't last there. I lasted there probably about 6 months, and I went back to the penitentiary.
What was that versus a penitentiary? Why was that different than a penitentiary?
It was a brand new jail, right, Ken? So when I got to Leavenworth, everything was established. They're like, oh, you want to watch TV, Johnny? We got a white TV room. Let's go in the Yep. This is your room. This is your chair. All my homeboys. I was like, oh, this is nice and easy. I got a chair, right? I'm good. Oh, you need a seat at this is your seat here. Oh, you need a two-man cell? We got a guy. Oh, you know what? We got a guy that just moved up. You're going in this cell. He's a great guy. Goes to Unicor all day.
The inmates control who goes in what cell?
In essence, of course, you can't just say, I'm going in that cell. You'd have to go to the council. You're like, hey, listen, this is my homeboy. He just got here. Here's the cop out. He's going to go in 655 with James Worthington. The guy just moved out. James going to be on the bottom bunk. Johnny's going to be on the top bunk. Okay, I got you. I'll put it in after lunch. It's a penitentiary. They're not going to say, well, you don't make cell moves here. Like, that's what they try to do in the low to me, and I gave them, like, something to think about after that. Yeah. But they don't want no problems. You know,
what happened at the low?
So at the low, it was a 12-man room in Fort Dix.
Yeah.
Right. I had an issue we had an issue in the Chow Hall about seating arrangements in Lee County Penitentiary, one of the penitentiaries that I went to afterwards. Another new penitentiary, right? Yeah. That doesn't have nothing established. You got to go in there and establish it. We had a little section established, but there was people trying to sit in these tables in the back, like, you know, other people that weren't our friends.
Yeah.
And one morning I went in there and I was like, my man, enjoy your breakfast, you know, but you can't sit here. There's people that sit at this table for lunch. And he got crazy. And then, you know, I kind of went outside and said, just listen, I don't care. You want to get crazy? That's cool. Do whatever you want to do, but don't sit there at lunch. He ended up sitting there at lunch. I ended up smashing him in the tail. I ended up trying to, you know, squelch it with somebody. The cop was like, yeah, don't come up here and talk to this guy working right now. I'm like, yo, it's your homeboy. He's at this table. You got to get him. The guy was something wrong with his head. He was really something wrong with him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I ended up smashing him. There ended up being a lockdown. Everybody got bag lunches. I was in the hole for like 13 months.
13 months straight?
Yeah, 13 months straight. So, and that was at Lee County Penitentiary. But what happened in the low...
A year in solitary?
Over a year. So what I said to a counselor in the low was like, hey, now I'm a seasoned veteran convict at this time. I'm in Fort Dix. I went all the way down to low security, and I was like, hey, boss, what's going on? Good morning. How are you? Hey, just a quick thing. I just want to move from like 217 to 117 where my friends are, and they go to bed early. The guys up there, they're doing their own thing. They want to, whatever. Like, I'm just want to get, you know what he said to me?
What?
He goes, what's your name? I said, oh, Bartolomeo, sir. And he goes, yeah, I don't do cell moves. Go handle the situation yourself. I went, oh. I said, can I sit down for 1 second? And he's like, yeah, go ahead. And I was like, let me ask you a question. Do you have Century access? It's the computer system where they put everything in. He goes, he looks at me like, he went like this. He went, and he looked at me like, hold on, wait a minute. Who the hell is this guy? Century. Yeah. How's he know about Century? He says, what are you trying to say? I said, no, because I want you to look at Century. Can you pull up my name on Century? Pull up. And I want you to look at the last time that somebody said to handle my problems on my own. Just check that out. I go, people got bag lunches, the joint got locked down, and somebody went to the hospital. Just want you to know that. He went, go to the lieutenant's office right now. You know, the lieutenant's office, they're locking you up. I'm like, what's the matter? He goes, go to the lieutenant's office. Then the other counselor come in. He started raising his voice. So I went to in other words, you know, I wasn't threatening nobody, but you want me to handle, all I asked you for was a cell move.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But then I told him what happened the last time that I handled my own problems. And he was like, wasn't ready for that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I ended up going to the SHU. I ended up getting out. He ended up being cool with me. I ended up having a good rapport with him. I ended up beating the shot.
Really?
Oh, I beat it.
Did you get the cell move?
I got the cell move. I went to the SHU for about 2 months. Then I got not guilty on the ticket. And I mean, I got a guilty on the ticket, but they only charged me for insolence. They couldn't find anywhere I threatened somebody.
Yeah.
But the guy says, well, I think you were insolent. I says, sir, with all due respect, I wasn't insolent. I was talking monotone, and I was just trying to tell the guy that this is what happens when I handle my problems myself. I ended up beating the shot. And the craziest thing is I got arrested for a cell phone under investigation for heroin, steroids, cell phones, and gambling. And I waited 9 months in the hole in Fort Dix. And when I finally went for my hearing, the same guy that I had beat on a pail before looked at me, looked at the thing and went, what's this for? I said, well, I have a written statement, sir. You could take that. Because you never talk to a DHO. You give him everything in writing. This way here, you can't say, well, he said this. He admitted guilt here. He said, Bartolomeo. Now, he knows who I am. I beat him, you know, and he's like, off the record, did they find you with a cell phone? I said, no, sir. Off the record, they did not find me with a cell phone. There's nothing with a number, nothing that comes back to me. He goes, all right, this is just your shot's expunged. They got to do better than this. And I just beat it. Nobody could believe it. When the cop took me down from Fort Dix, he handcuffed me and said, I just want you to know this DHO is like the Connecticut women's basketball team. He ain't lost since Napoleon was a cadet. And I come down.
But did you have the cell phone?
No.
Oh,
They try to get me, but they put us under investigation for heroin.
Who's us? You and your crew?
Me and
friends?
all the Boston crew.
Okay.
Heroin, cell phones.
But someone must have been doing those things.
Yeah.
Oh, but you
Without a doubt.
just didn't have it.
Well, but I'm saying they locked me up for having possession of a hazardous tool because what they found was my name on somebody's Facebook account.
Ah.
Yeah. Did I have the phone in my hand? Absolutely. Was I using it? Yes. Did I put? Yeah, but they never saw me with it. They never seen anything that came back to it, you know? But there it is right there. Everybody just heard it.
I love that you're in jail fucking maintaining a Facebook account.
Somebody, I never even knew about it. I was just sending somebody a message that sent me a letter.
Oh, I got you.
You know, I didn't know nothing about it because obviously I'm stupid. I put it on the wall. They said instead of a direct message. I don't know.
Yeah, I got you.
Now I know, obviously.
Explain to me how you were married and divorced to the same woman twice while you're in jail.
Okay. I had this website. Somebody built me a website with all my sentencing transcripts, you know, because they thought it was such a, like the greatest speech ever, said in court. So this guy built me a website. He was like, we're going to try to, get people to donate, derive capital, try to help you with your case, whatever. So I'm like, all right, cool, do what you want. She sees this and she was going out. She was married to a guy in divorce, a guy named John, right? And she had a boyfriend named Bart, right? Who was a pagan.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, wow.
So, listen, that's what she said.
Yeah.
So, all these common denominators, she's like, can't be. And she was like, she thought I was, which I'm not, but she thought I was a handsome guy, right? Yeah. This must have been when I had hair. But anyway, she wrote me a letter and she sent me these pictures. And I look at these pictures, and she's, I'll show you the pictures.
No, I've seen pictures of her on your thing.
She's smoke show.
Yeah, she's crazy good looking.
She's crazy, and like
people listening won't believe like how good looking she is.
And now, especially when I met her at 27,
yeah, she
was forget
gorgeous,
it. Like
yeah.
I was like, yeah, I fell immediately in love with her. I remember the first words I ever spoke to her was, I forgot my socks. That's what I said to her. My first words to her ever in a visit was, I forgot my socks.
And she ended up coming to visit you.
So now I get these pictures from her in the mail, right? And I'm with this kid, Saj, black kid, Marine, was taking keys of cocaine back and forth when he was transporting prisoners.
Yeah.
He was transporting prisoners on commercial airlines. Take them all the way in the back, you sit in these handcuffed, he's the guard. But he said, hey, you know what? Nobody ever looks in my bag. I'm taking a key every time I go. So he was there for taking keys to cocaine.
Was he a marshal?
No, he was a Marine taking my military prisoners back and forth.
Oh, okay.
So now whenever that came, they were like, hey, Sarge, you've been doing this a long time. You've done it. You want to do it again? Yep, I'll do it Sunday. I got you. You go, this is the flight. This is the person. We could take them from here to there, right?
So crazy. Like if the route isn't the same every time, how would you think, okay, I know I can get coke in that city and then they
No,
in that
but listen, he just take it in his bag. Nobody's checking his bag.
No, but what I'm saying is like, how many people have a frigging a connect that can get kilos of coke in this city, that city, and bring it to CB?
Crazy,
ABC?
right?
Like it's just so random. Like,
right.
Oh, you got a route from Seattle to Miami.
Yeah.
Well, is there coke in Miami that needs to go to Seattle or vice versa? It's just like,
I don't know, but that was his case.
Okay.
So this guy, when he's seen these pictures, I'm opening this letter. The first time I ever heard from Natalie in my life, I'm like, oh my God, look. And he's standing at mail call. We used to hang out. Like a mail call, you hang out. I get his mail. If he wasn't there, you get my mail. He's the only person that could do it. And I'd be like, and he's like, who the hell is this bro? I'm like, Sarge, when I tell you I got no idea who this person is, I got no idea. He was like, immediately, he was like, we're not worthy. We are not worthy. Like, and it was like the jackpot. Like, you know what I'm saying? I was in prison for like about 7, 8 years, maybe 9 years. And this smoke show monument starts writing me. I'm like, oh my God. Like, so, that was the start of it. And then, we started writing back and forth. I started calling her, she came up and we had our first visit. We got married, and, it was like a love story. I was writing every night. She was writing me. And then I, kind of fell off with her. You know what I'm saying? I started to, it was my fault the first time. Then we kind of got hooked up again when I was in Danbury.
Yeah. Where'd she live?
She lives in South Philly.
Okay, so it was close to Danbury.
No, not really close to Danbury. It wasn't really close to nowhere. I was in on the tip of Tennessee, Kentucky, and Virginia when she first started visiting.
But I'm saying when you went to Danbury, it was close.
No, I went to Fairton. which was close to her. That was the place I went to after Lee County Penitentiary.
Okay.
So that was close for her. And then, we went back and forth, and I don't know, it's kind of fizzled out. It was my fault the first time. Then the second time, we had this furlough. I got married again in Danbury.
Yeah.
Right? My friends used to call like, hey, where are you now? I said, I'm in New Hampshire. I'm in Berlin. Hey, you get married there? I want to see if you can get married in every state. So anyway, we kind of rekindled the flame, and, we got back together, and it was amazing. Like, back and forth, writing again, emailing all the time. Then
Emailing?
Yeah,
How
they got an email system in there.
How?
So it's an email system. That's their kiosk. They have it. It's Federal Bureau of Prisons. No internet access at all. It's just 5 cents a minute to send emails. And you can have a list of 20 people to send emails to, or 30 people.
And where do you access the email? Like,
There's kiosks.
Oh, so like a payphone, but it's a
that's
little
it.
keyboard.
Right there, yep. So there's
And
5
that's
of
where
them.
you read them, and that's where you send them.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
So now this is when this whole issue starts arising that I can get to a minimum. They're not counting this murder as violence. It's an upward departure. It's not even, I can get to a minimum now. I got enough points where I've stayed out of trouble for so long, I can go to a camp.
Yep.
And right about this time, they start talking about this new warden, this new case manager. You can have a furlough. She's giving furloughs. And I go to my case manager,
But explain what a furlough is. Because when I hear furlough, I think, I'm getting 2 or 3 days out of prison and I got to return. So when you told me, like, no.
So McHugh's the case manager. Sweetheart. I love him. Great guy. He was great. Just a consummate professional. Never did anything.
Yeah.
Like
just a nice guy.
Good guy. Try to help you out as best he could. If he couldn't, he couldn't. He's not going to break the rules.
When I worked in the prison, I would always say, it's enough for you to know I'm going to do what I have to do. Don't put me in a terrible position, and we're good.
Right, 100%.
I never ever wrote tickets. I tell a story in my book where I was driving inmates from they were in a low work release, and they could go to AA meetings off campus. So like I would off the grounds, I would drive them to Cambridge from Billerica, which is out kind of in the burbs.
Right.
And one of the guys, a black guy, got caught drinking. So his undercover security from the prison was like, "Yo, we caught this dude drinking. When you get back to the prison, stop at the main building. We're gonna lug him back."
Okay, we're gonna lug him. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, I don't care. Okay. So you get in the van, and there's a white kid sitting next to me from Somerville in the passenger seat. You know, remember a 10-person van. I got a uniform, but no gun or anything.
No, 100%.
So this white guy's behind me, and then the black guys is kind of all sitting together in the back, and I noticed they're like huddling up, and there's probably like 12 people total. So there's like 5 or 6 of them. So I get to an intersection, and the guy jumps out the side door. And it's just a normal van. It's not a police van. And he's like, I go to wrestle with him. And the white kid who's sitting next to me, like instinctively just starts to try to help me. and then he looks at me, and I look at him, and he's like, what the fuck am I doing?
What am I doing? Yeah.
He jumps back in. He's like, you forget where you are. Because I'm like driving. We're listening to the radio. We're clowning around there.
100%.
It's just guys hanging
and
out.
It's minimum security. So it's not like, you need a weapon.
No, exactly. Dude,
they're classified to be outside.
Right. When I would drive the guys to work, some guys would work at McDonald's, and I drive them in a car, like a Crown Vic, and it had the speaker, and it had lights and shit. So I'd turn the lights on and speed, and the guys would laugh, and I'd be like driving crazy. But then I'd pull up to the McDonald's, and there was one guy, I think his name was Charlie Greenleaf. No, that was the guy it was something Greenleaf, from the guy from Talented Mr. Ripley, same name. Right. And I pull up and be like, Greenleaf reporting for duty outside of McDonald's, and the guy would laugh. Like, I always had fun with it.
Right, of course.
So the guy goes, I'm jetting, and I sit, and I stand back up because the van starts to roll into the traffic, so I put it in park. I'm like, dude, what the fuck? What are you doing? And he's like, I'm jetting, and I go, you have 3 seconds to get back in, or I'm driving away without you. And he got back in the van like a little kid, you know, like you're like
okay,
and he got back in. I just drove up to the building and never told anyone, just let him out. And the other guards, though, that's what I mean. Like, they loved it. They were like, thank God he didn't tell him. That guy would have been an escape charge.
Yeah, of course.
But so that's what I mean about like when you say the guy's a good guy. There's like rapport. You work with these guys every day. 100%. When I would see a guard being a jerk, I'd be like, dude. Yeah. These guys, some of the guards were worse than the inmates.
Yeah, but you have that everywhere.
Yeah,
it's nothing that you can control.
That's
but
right.
Getting back to Natalie, right? So I'm coming into this the furlough part. Yeah. Now there's policy where you can get something called a transfer furlough, where you get a bus from the institution you're transferring from to the institution you're transferring to. Even if it takes you 3 hours to get there by bus, you get 2 hours and 50 minutes to get there.
Yeah.
So it's not like you got this. Sometimes in the bus route, there might be a layover in New York City. You might have to take another bus if you're going to Pennsylvania. There might be a half-hour layover. You can get a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
You can maybe get something to eat, right? Yeah. So, but what happened was that I told you, they're like unicorns.
Yeah.
Nobody ever gets them. Everybody requests them and no. But we had this warden and this unit manager that came there at the same time, and they're like, we should start giving people furloughs. Why are we paying for minimum security inmates that go to a jail that has no fences, that can walk away if they want to?
Yeah.
So why would we transfer them in handcuffs and shackles? It doesn't make sense. So they started giving furloughs, and it was just about the time I was coming up to go to a minimum security. And I said to myself, I don't even want to try to believe this because I might start thinking about this. It might not happen. I'll be disgusted. It happened. I started working out every day. I knew I was coming up for it. My case manager, McHugh, was like, yeah, you're getting it. You know what I'm saying? There was a few issues in between, but I ended up getting the camp. And then there was a few issues in between.
Where were you and where were you going?
I was in Danbury, Connecticut.
Yep.
At a low security.
Yep.
And I was going to Schuylkill Camp, which was minimum security in Pennsylvania. It took you about 4.5 hours to get there. Okay. 5 hours maybe. But my friend, John Figliolini, Figgy, was the secretary's orderly. He was in the drug program. He's like the honor block, like sweetheart of a kid, solid as a rock, dynamite, one of my best friends in prison. But he said to the guy, who was a good guy, right? Good cop. Yeah. He was like, hey, this is my friend's stuff. Give him like all the stops you can give him. Like, let him get the most time. Listen, this kid's been in jail 21 and a half years. I love him. He's my friend. Let him at least have a fucking hamburger. Give him as much time as you can.
Yeah.
So I got 18 hours to get somewhere. It took 4 hours. But that was the bus route.
Oh, okay.
That was the bus route. It said, stop 2 hours in Pennsylvania. Stop 3 hours in New York. Wait for the
must have been
bus.
like, what?
But I was having my wife, who I just remarried again, come up to get me. But I didn't tell her anything because I got denied twice. It's a huge story, but ended up at the end of the story, I got everything straightened out. Then I get her. She goes, you want me to come visit you for 2 months? I was like, yeah, not right now, honey. She's like, what's the matter? Tell me what's the matter. You talking to somebody? Oh, blah, blah, blah. She was mad. She was like, you don't want me to come see you? I'm like, just believe me when I tell you, just hold off. And then so I ended up explaining, I couldn't have you up here. I didn't know if I was getting this thing and everything. But I said to her, I said, imagine if I was going to a minimum security, a camp. She goes, wow, that would be, do you think they'll ever give you one? And I already got it. Yeah. And I'm like, I got it. And I'm going to Schuylkill. She's like, oh my God, no way. I go, listen, even better. Can you imagine if they let you drive? And she goes, just to drive you, just to be there with nobody. You know, we got arrested. I got my visits terminated. They said I tried to touch her. And history is crazy with us.
Okay.
I go, yeah, well, I got to take the bus. They're going to put me in handcuffs. You know what I'm saying? Nobody ever gets furloughs. You can't get them. And she knew this, right? Yeah. This was the rare exception. I got it. And I'm saying to her, yeah, I can't get it. I says, picture if I got it. She goes, oh my God. I go, even if we had 1 hour, we can have something to eat. Yeah. We can, just hug, Yeah. And I said, I got it. She goes, no, you don't. I said, I got it. And you know what? I got 18 hours because Figgy did. She goes, oh my God. Now she's like, oh my God. Like, no, it's like she's elated.
Yeah.
I'm elated. It's like the best time of my life in jail. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, and now the paranoia starts hitting. I'm walking, doing laps. I'm in the yard. I see 2 cops talking. I think, they're talking about my father. They got to take this motherfucker from me. I know. You get paranoid. Like, I'm 21 and a half years in prison at the time.
Also, if other guys find out when people are getting released or they have beef with someone, like you hear someone's getting out and he might have did something to you. Yeah. Like, if I don't get him now, I'm never getting him. And people will do that stuff, right? That happens.
I mean, it happens, and I was paranoid of that. I wasn't even going to the Chow Hall at this time.
Yeah.
I wasn't even, because... like, we're fighting.
Yeah.
The Boston's fighting for their table.
Yeah.
Everybody had to have paperwork. You had to be a good guy to get there. This one, the warden was like, pedophiles, I don't care if they're pedophiles. They sit anywhere. They're not standing up waiting for their own table. They used to stand up and just wait for another pedophile to get up. Now she was sitting them anywhere. See that seat right there? I'm going to walk you there. You're sitting right here. She would sit him at any table with anybody. And that's a good way to start a problem.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, at night, one of them got destroyed for sitting at our table. One of our homeboys beat the living dog snot out of him. But anyway, I wasn't even going to Chow Hall.
Yeah.
Everything, there was a million twists and turns, but I ended up getting it. She ends up coming to get me, right? So now I go down to R&D to pack my property. And the girls down there, 2 black girls, right? Never even seen them in my whole life. I was just, hey, what's up? She goes, oh, what are you doing? I said, oh, I'm leaving tomorrow. She goes, all right, come back an hour before you leave tomorrow and to pack out. And I was leaving the following day. So I went there. I go, just give me a box. I took the box, taped it, put everything in. She goes, takes me like an hour and a half to do that. She goes, you ought to give a class on everybody that's transferring and doing this. What time you leave tomorrow? I said, 3:00. She goes, come at 2:00. So I got out. She let me come out early.
Oh, really?
The lieutenant down there signed off. So now I always tell you're in jail.
Yeah.
I'm saying, honey, if they don't call you for the first round to visit you, everything is waiting.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean? So I was like, just all you got to do is park outside the bus station in Connecticut. This is the address. We were talking on the visit because I couldn't talk on the phone saying this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'd write a letter because you could seal the letters. So whatever, sit there. I might be an hour late. Who knows? Just sit there and wait. I'll be there. I see her. I walk to the thing. I get out early, right? I take the they give me taxi money.
Yeah.
After 21 and a half years in prison, they opened the door. And like I said, everybody was like, oh, you're going to be shell-shocked. Bro, I felt completely at home outside with the money in my hand. I felt like I was never
like the best day of your life?
Amazing. And I felt like I was never in prison.
Yeah. But
It was just all
like?
evaporated.
But when all this good shit's happened, you're with your wife, you got 18 hours to do what you got to do. Then when you report back to the place,
That's when the shell shock was.
And you're in a camp, and like you said, in a camp, like everyone mixes with. There's no protective custody.
Yeah.
There's pedophiles.
No pedophiles in camps because they can't be in community custody, but there's stool pigeons. But that was the one good thing about camps. You cannot have a pedophile who has a sex crime with a place with no fence.
Oh,
because
really?
they're a danger to the community.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
But you still get like mixing. Like
Yeah, you know, but there was a lot of good guys. We had a lot of good guys. But getting back to that story.
Yeah.
I'm an hour early. So she's expecting me to be an hour late. But she's there early. I go, on the window. She was on her phone playing Candy Crush. Yeah. She went, and she goes, this is the first time I've ever seen her. Like, we've been across the tables in penitentiaries, handheld under the table, in Lowe's, like, quick kiss.
But that's it. You can't hug or anything?
You get a quick hug, a quick kiss, Some cops are cool. You hold hands over the table.
But no, like, intimate touching,
never.
like nothing crazy.
Never. You try to get a bathroom, but you run the risk of getting, locked up.
Yeah, if you get caught in the bathroom with your
So
visit, you're in big trouble.
So So I went and bought the bus ticket just to have the stub and everything, whatever. So my wife had money for me. And I get in the truck and she's like, she just starts driving. She goes, I hyperventilate. I just can't right now. I just can't. I can't. I can't. Like, that's all she kept saying is, I can't. I just can't. I can't. And we had an amazing ride. We had an amazing dinner. We had an amazing night. It was, I told you, the best compliment I ever got is the next morning when I called her. She said, I don't feel like I got into a car accident. I feel like I got into two of them. I trained for that moment. So, but that was that with her. And what happened is how the marriage fell apart really was, we were in this hotel room, right?
Yeah.
With a tablet, watching stuff. She, took me to the bus station, took me to the prison. But then when I was in the minimum, I was leaving the minimum security institution, going to the hotel with her once a week.
Oh, really?
Twice a month. Yeah, I was leaving. I had we had the best setup down there in Schuylkill at the barn. It was unbelievable. But we'd be on there and I'd be calling my friends, am I cool? They're like, yeah, you're cool. Don't worry about it. Come back in 2 hours when the boss goes to lunch.
So you just walk off the facility?
Well, it's a little more complicated than that. You'd have to run down a hill under the cover of darkness in the morning. You know what I'm saying?
You're taking a lot of risks of going back to prison. After 21 years, like you still didn't.
But still, I'm saying that's what I went there for.
I got you.
That was my goal. I got there and I didn't care. I was all systems go. And then it was like, you start getting used to things. Then it was like the normal thing. So me and her are sitting in the bed, like, trying to think of things to do. We got so much time together, right? We're in the tablet, we're watching movies, Then I get arrested for investigation because they break into the barn, they find where our works, find cell phones, creatine, steroids, lock us all up.
Creatine and steroids.
Oh, well, that was my friend's hustle that I used to go to the hotel
but I just
with.
like how you classify that as like, oh, dude, we were smuggling in creatine.
Yeah, creatine and tobacco, right? Legal substances. But anyway, we all got locked up. Now I'm in the SHU first. I'm in the hole for like 5 months, 6 months.
That must have been the hardest time you did, right?
So you see what I'm saying? And then she was like, one day I called and I was like, hey, what's up, honey? And she was like, no, I'm going out with my friends. I think I'm going to start going out again. And I was like, okay, all right. killed me, bro. Crushed my spirit. I'm in the SHU like this, just staring at the ceiling like.
And you only out 1 hour a day.
And still, I'm saying as the wintertime, the water pipe bust. I took cold showers for like 2 weeks in a row.
And you're all by yourself in a cell.
No, I got a bunkie for the
Wait a
most
minute,
part.
in the SHU you have a cellmate?
Yeah, in the
Where
SHU
I was, you did.
Yeah, I know. But I wish. But, you know, so I'd rather be with a person that I know than get somebody that I don't know coming off the compound. So anyway, I always moved with a cellie. And we were under investigation with a few guys anyway that were great guys. And nobody told and nobody did anything and everybody got transferred. I got transferred without having a shot. Greatest supervision transfer. I went to Elkton, Ohio with a big fence around it. And she was like, yeah, it's over. You fucked this up. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
so
she was pissed at you.
Yeah, she was mad. Because listen, you think I just had my appeal granted too, where they were looking at my case. Again, I got my appeal granted by the First Circuit of Appeals. They allowed me to appeal in the district court. I had a great issue. I won it. I was no longer a career offender, but in the decision, the judge said, you win. You're no longer a career offender, but it doesn't affect the length of your sentence. Go back to prison.
So when you start getting down towards the end of your sentence, talk to me about when you're actually getting released. Like, do you know with good time or whatever?
Yeah.
Like you have how long out do you know? Okay, that's the date, and you're like starting to cross the days.
That's where 27 Straight comes from. My clothing brand, right? 27STR8. That's where it comes from. I figure out I'm going to do 27 years, so I put 27STR with the corresponding number from the 7 to the 8.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, that looks cool. I like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but what happens is I'm in Berlin, New Hampshire. And when I'm in Elkton, right, they start talking about this First Step Act that Trump passed. But if you got a leader organizer role, it doesn't affect you. I had a leader organizer role. So they're starting to do everybody's calculation. You're supposed to get a year off when you do programs. And I had done a ton of programs already anyway, you know. At that point in time, I devised 2 Spanish curriculums that I was teaching. Oh, really? You know what I mean? Yeah. Well, I speak Spanish fluently, of course.
I saw that on Instagram. How?
Yeah. I just learned in prison. I was fascinated by it.
Okay.
And I stayed in the TV room, watched Spanish TV, conversed with people, read books, wrote it. Completely fascinated. Still to this day I am. So anyway, I went to the office. They're giving everybody their sentence computation. I'm going to go in. They're just going to write, oh, denied because you're a leader organizer. So they go in there and say, hey, what's up? I'm talking to the case manager. Obviously, I'm not going in there and be like, I know I'm a leader organizer. I'm thinking, it doesn't affect me. That negates me. So I was like, yeah, what's up? She was like, oh, I'm just going to do your sentence computation. I was like, all right, cool. How you been? How's everything? No, what's going on? Blah, blah, blah. How's the Browns doing this year? Blah, 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 blah. All right. Come out. I look. Denied, right? No. She recomputated my sentence. I'm getting a year off. But now I'm thinking, at some point in time, they're going to find this mistake. Yeah. So I'm not going to get the year off. Yeah. But it keeps going, and I go to the next jail. I get transferred to a next jail, and the case manager's like, yeah, as a matter of fact, you got a few more days. Hold on. I'm like, I'm getting a full year off this. Now I'm thinking to myself, full year for this? Am I eligible for the drug program? I don't even want to ask. You got to take an interview with the psychologist. Yeah. So I took an interview, and I'm like, I know that the upward departure for murder is going to kill me on this because they considered a knife. Somebody had possession of a knife, negated them from that. Like, you know, they weren't eligible for it. I'm like, I know they're going to find. 2 weeks later, she goes back. She goes, oh, hey, good news for you. Approved for the drug program. And I'm like this. I'm in Berlin, like I'm a year away from the street. Oh, really? Okay, so I'm like, hold on, I had to take my hat off. I went inside. I'm starting looking at the days, and I'm like, I got to start to work on this transfer. I got to get to the drug program, so I'm eligible for the whole year. Yeah. Hold on. So I talked to my case manager. He's like, yeah, you're eligible. I just put you in for it. So in like 2 days, I'm like. I call my friend on the phone, FaceTime. I got a phone in there, right? You just can't stay out of trouble. So, but I didn't get in trouble. That's the good thing. Yeah. But listen to my friend Gio. He's my best friend on planet Earth, right? He knows I'm starting to tell him all this thing. I'm like, yo, listen, this could be happening. He goes, oh, Joe, John, this is amazing. And I call him up that day and I go, the night before, and I'm like, yo, it's all set. I'm good. I'm going to get it. I'm doing the calculations now. I'm going to be, if I get to one of these drug programs, I'll be home in 1 year. I just got to complete the drug program in 9 months, not even 1 year. So I FaceTime him. He answers the phone. Boop. He's like, are you retarded? I said, what? He goes, bro, Go smash that phone in a million pieces. Don't ever call me with this again.
Yeah.
Hung up on me.
Yeah.
Good friend, right?
Yeah.
The best,
Exactly.
right? I'm like, I'm the asshole.
Yeah.
And then I'm thinking to myself, as I'm smashing the phone in a million pieces outside with a cinder block, right?
Yeah.
I'm thinking like, can you picture these people that have been hung around this whole bid telling me I was going to get out, never believed them. I said, I'll never do this bid in the back of my mind, telling them, yeah, I'll get out. And here I am, I'm getting out and I'm going to fuck it up with this phone. What am I, nuts? What am I, crazy?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I ended up getting transferred. I wanted to go to I think McKean had the drug program, but they transferred me to Lewisburg. Best thing that ever happened to me.
Oh, Lewisburg was good?
But I took care of cats. I met Miss Vargason, was a case manager, was a sweetheart. Dr. Ramirez listen, these people, Vargason, the case manager, and Ramirez was the psychologist. She called me in the office the first day, and she was like, you know what, you recognize this name? I'm like, Ramirez. She goes, you worked for my husband at Berlin? He's the AW there. I was like, oh, AW Ramirez. I had a great rapport with them.
Yeah.
Great rapport with everybody.
Yeah.
I started to build relationships with staff, and Miss Vargason said, oh, you're Bartolomeo? She was the case manager. Tremendous person. Another one that was the consummate professional, never went outside the lines of doing anything, but did her job, and she took a liking to me, and she did a solid for me. I'll explain to you. She was like, oh, I just want to let you know, I've been working here for 20 years. You're the only person we've ever had a meeting about before you got here. And I was like, oh, okay. So another guy comes out. They call him Meth. That was his name.
Yeah.
He was an officer there. He was like, oh, he goes, hey, what's up? It's dynamite. Yo, I love this guy. I used to do his office. He was great. I almost missed seeing him after I went home. And he was like, oh, yeah. He goes, the SIS, the investigators, just sent me this 8-page packet of why you shouldn't be here, but obviously you're here. And that's how the rapport started.
Yeah.
I had this rapport with officers that it wasn't from giving them information. Never. They wouldn't even have talked to me if I tried. They would have been, what? Hold on. But they knew me from... my reputation preceded me, and as I got further into my bid, I started to work well with them. Like, yo, you need this? I got you. Come on, let's get this inspection banged out so we can get, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
We got to do this, whatever. Let's bang it out. So anyway, Miss Vargason, I had this problem with my good time. That good time that I earned, that my earned good time, where they said I was never supposed to be eligible for it, but I got it. Now what happened is I've been in prison for so long, I was in the SHU 22 years ago, and they tried to use it against me to take all my good time. And I'm like, the first step wasn't even enacted 22 years ago. And they're like, yeah, it doesn't matter. You were in the SHU. I was like, it was 22 years ago. And they're like, oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Let me see that. So it became an issue where they talked about it in this First Step Summit. They were having the summit about the first step, how to implement the things they're doing. She goes, you're the first name on the list. And they ended up squaring it away. They ended up saying...
So at that point, they tell you, okay...
No, she tells me this. She's like, I try to put your halfway house papers in as, I try to give you the best date. She goes, she was like, this is my orderly. He does everything for me. He's a major source of help here, helping the staff. We had an inspection. He did waxed the whole floors down in Center Hall. And I gave her, I came back on my date. And I'm like, look, everybody else was getting out 6 months before me. I was like, look, she goes, yeah, that's because of the good time. She goes, I tried to put it in. You know what she did? A week later, she was perplexed about it. She goes, you know what? I'm going to call right now. Listen, she called and she goes, sit down. I want you to sit down. She had 2 other inmates in the office, right, that were getting ready to graduate that program. She got on the phone with this lady and she was like, hey, how you doing? She goes, I've been doing this for 22 years here. There is no inmate more deserving of this inmate right here that he should get an earlier date. If you have anything, listen, tears to my eyes. She was like, there's nobody that deserves this more than this man. He's been in prison for this long. The things that he has accomplished here in this program with me personally doing anything that I needed to do. I don't even have to ask him. He does it. He's taking care of these cats out there. He's, anything and everything. You know what I mean? And and she gave me an earlier date. I ended up going home a little later, but I think it was 30 days after my class. but better than 6 months. She got me 5 months.
So when she gives you that, and then you have a release date, when you know that's coming up, is the camp camp isn't as dangerous because everyone's leaving there?
Yeah, but everybody leaves the drug program. But what happens is it's a camp, right?
Yeah.
So there's cell phones, there's alcohol, there's people drinking, doing drugs. But if this shit gets caught in the drug program, they hold the whole drug program back.
Yeah.
So now this officer that works the unit every night, I go in the office. I'm like, yo, what's up, boss? You want me to do the floors tonight? No. Listen, I just got you some wax. You know, the counselor gave me some wax. I'm going to give it to you. Take it for your floors, and then we'll do it later. And he was like, hey, do me a favor. I don't feel like working tonight. They're coming down from the camp to shake down. Tell these guys to get rid of their phones. So now I would go out there and be like, yo, listen, let's go. They're coming up from the camp. Let's go. Get your stuff. People will be like, I go, don't throw it. Get a spot for it. You got like 10, 15 minutes. Get your shit. Because I wanted to go home.
No, of course.
You know what I mean?
Of
These
course.
kids, they were in prison for 25 minutes. We'll do 6 more months.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I don't want to do 6 more months. So I ended up being that guy that went around to everybody, hey, listen. And everybody respected. I saved people's lives.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it wasn't because anything else. And this cop was like, hey, listen, go tell these guys. He would give me that. You know what I'm saying?
So when they released you, where do you go from there?
So now I lived with a judge when I got out of prison. That's another wrinkle in this story that's crazy. My friend was a defense lawyer. He was going to law school when I was hanging out with him. He wasn't even going to law school, but he ended up going to law school and becoming a lawyer. Now he's a judge in the state of Massachusetts, and he allowed me to live at his house, my friend Leo Farmer.
Yeah.
Sweetheart of a guy. His family is amazing. Think about that. That's like you saying to your family, hey, listen, I got this guy, Johnny. He's a good friend of mine. Like, no, you got 4 kids, right?
Yeah.
Now, picture they're in their teens and 20s, and you got to explain to them, hey, Joey, hey, Stevie, Johnny's going to live upstairs on the 3rd floor. Yeah. He's going to use your shower, right? He's going to be 2 daughters. Yeah, Johnny's going to be coming here, and he's going to live here with us.
What was he in jail for?
But I'm saying they know who I am, right? They talked about me the whole time.
Yeah.
He's best friends with my best friends. But can you imagine that?
No, that's
telling
crazy.
your wife, like, hey, listen. And your wife saying, okay, that's great.
And how long did you stay there?
About 5 months.
Jesus.
Right.
What a good guy.
The family is just tremendous people.
Yeah.
Just, otherworldly. Because you know what I would have said? I said, Leo, and he was going to be a judge.
Yeah.
So, you know what I said? I said, Leo, if I was in the same position you, I would have been like, here's a couple grand, Johnny, right?
Yeah.
Stay away from me because I'm going through this process. I love you, but don't come near me. But he was like, you know what he said to me? Johnny, you're my fucking friend. I love you.
That's awesome.
Those are the people I have in my life.
So
you
when
wonder why I'm successful.
So when you get out, what do you start doing for work?
So what happened is you have to have an itinerary every single day.
Yeah.
For the halfway house, where you going? The first couple 30 days, you can't even leave. You need to take a walk around the block, but that's it. But I had a friend of mine, John Bonapane, who's a friend of my friends and another sweetheart, right? Just had a tile company, signed the papers to get me out of the halfway house. And, when John worked, I worked with him. When John's carrying 50-pound bags of cement, guess what?
Yeah.
Johnny Bart's carrying bags of cement too because the guy's giving me $100 a day, get me out of the halfway house to have coffee with him.
Yeah.
So when he works, I got to work.
Yeah.
So I did that for a little while. I went and had a hernia operation. Didn't do that anymore. From day one, right, with that 2-7 STR8, right?
Yeah.
I always thought about that. And the way that even materialized was, people in the club made shirts for me to support me and gave me all the money from it. So my brother Charlie had like a party for him. He's an accountant in Saugus who's been amazing since I've been out. My brother Charlie's done like so many things for me. He's just been the brother that I always wanted. Me and him have really, our relationship has blossomed. We sometimes at points in our lives we weren't really that close, but we are tremendously close. And my last living relative, and he said to me, John, I had these shirts made for you for this time we were having. Why don't you go up there and sign them? Right, and sell them. I'm gonna spit my coffee out on him. I said, "Who the fuck's gonna buy a signed shirt from me? Who am I?" You know what I'm saying? But I did it, and I sold them all.
Yeah.
And that's where 27 Straight came from. You know what I'm saying? So then my friend Pete from the club took me up to the distributor these guys had. I got a relationship with them now, and I was like, whatever you do. Like Pete did all the design, did everything for me, and I was like, yeah, it looks good. I said, but you know what? On the back, put 2-7 STR8 somewhere. And that's how that started. And I sold all these shirts, and I ordered more, and I sold more, and I ordered more, and I kept selling them, selling them. And for the first year, that's how I made a living.
And at what point did you link up with Shooter? Did you know Bean Shooter before?
So what happened was my friend Ika, who was Jason Calnan from Revere, who was in Fort Dix with me, texted me one day, and he goes, "Hey, Bean Shooter wants you to have you on his podcast." I went, "The fuck is a bean shooter? The fuck are you nuts, kid?" He goes, "No, here's his Instagram page. Look at it." So I'm like, "Yeah, tell him I'll do something with him, right?" And then I gave him. I remember the first time my brother had hockey tickets. I'm in home confinement. I can't go. No, I got to be home at 9 o'clock at night. Yeah. So I had these tickets. I called all my friends, called everybody. Nobody wanted them. And I was like, "Oh, I got this guy Bean Shooter's information. Let me call him and say, 'Hey, Mike.'" And I started talking to him. "Mike, you want these tickets?" And he was like, "Nah, I don't know." He goes, "You know what? I'll take my daughter." I go, "All right, here's everything. Boom, boom, boom. Call my brother Charlie. He's going to send them to you." So he put on his story that night, "I want to take my buddy, my man, my guy, official Johnny Bartolomeo." And I think I got like 300 followers that night.
Yeah.
That started the Instagram.
I gotcha.
Mike is, the spring for Instagram for me. Yeah. That's who got me into the Instagram fold. Ian Bick and Bean Shooter. You know what I'm saying? That's where I got most of my fans. I'm shadow banned now. I can't get no new followers. I don't.
Why?
Who knows? I had an orange flag on my account for 4 months. Retarded.
You did?
Retarded. I got everybody in the whole world trying to look at it. Everybody's like, "I don't know what it is." Won't come up.
Probably with the Bean Shooter. Bean Shooter puts too much. I always tell him,
but no, it's not. It's independent. It goes right to my profile, and there's nothing there. I erased it, and it says, "Yeah, it's still objectionable." But whatever. That's a whole nother story for another day. But I got 10,000 followers in 2 months, and now I got nobody. So
did you go into prison with the tattoos, or did you get them all in there?
So some of them I got in there, but now we're so all these are staying. I dated them, I left, but all the other ones I'm covering up. Anything that has to do with the club. So that's the next
all the club. Do you have to?
All the club stuff. I'm saying,
do you have to cover it?
I mean, whatever the case may be, is these are getting covered up. The one on my back and the one on my arm stay with the date on it. So I left the club.
Oh, as long as you say when you left.
Whatever the case may be is. Now we're going to get into the next subject.
It's crazy that it's so secretive. I'm not trying to be
no,
probing.
1,000%. And you could listen. My life's an open book. You can ask anything you want to ask. You know what I'm saying?
What about the one on your head? I'm
probably going to get that one either removed because I don't want to get it covered. I think I'm just going to try to get it removed because it's light.
Was it in jail? Did you get it in jail?
I got that one right before I went to jail.
I was going to say, you must have been new into the club, tattoo my cranium.
Tattoo my fucking head. Yeah, of course. Gung-ho, kid, like everything else.
Well, dude, I've loved following you. Your story is crazy. You've lived a crazy life, but nothing makes me happier than see people turn their lives around.
Yeah, man, listen, without the setback, there is no comeback. Like I said, we started this. I'm blessed every single day. I've got the most successful, influential friends. I don't know. I don't know how I got this blessing, but my mantra all the time is I waited 10,000 days and I haven't had a bad day yet.
Yeah.
So for anybody that struggles out there, that's struggling, all you have to do is just hang on for a day.
Yeah.
Just hang on for that one day because for me personally, where I was, I went from wanting to commit suicide, thinking I was a badass. It comes full circle, bro. You always going to get back what you give. And if you hang on for another day, you're going to get to where you want to get. I'll guarantee it. And you're not going to have to wait 10,000 days.
Yeah.
Your day's
I have
coming.
friends that were in the Navy SEALs and they're like, "I'm going to quit tomorrow after that guy quits," and then just pick another guy.
Right. 1,000%.
You're right. So where can people find you now? What's the Instagram handle?
So it's official_Johnny_Bartolomeo. And then you just put in Johnny Bot anywhere else on YouTube. There's a link tree on my Instagram. So
what's the website for the apparel?
It's
I love that T-shirt.
It's 27straight.com. Everything is on the link tree. You can find me anywhere on YouTube, TikTok, Snapchat. I'm on all the social.
And you're doing a lot of social work, like a lot of charity work, or acts of service.
Yeah, and I mean, anybody asks me to do anything, I never say no. I try not to ever say no. I'm a full-time recovery coach for Power Recovery in Revere, Massachusetts. Shout out to Maddie Powers, who gave me the opportunity. I went and spoke. And that's the thing. When you genuinely do things for others and you try to give back, it always comes back 100-fold. And I know how great, I tell people this all the time. I told Ian this to tell everybody. I had people come up to me and give me brown paper bag with 5,000. Like People gave me money. And I know how great and amazing that felt. And people gave me friendship. And people gave me opportunity. And I know how great it felt. So I just have to share that feeling with other people.
Yeah.
Because I know how good it feels.
Yeah, no, I love it. I know from what I've seen from you and from all of our mutual friends, like, and it's crazy to think about your story. And like, you FaceTimed me yesterday with Sean O'Brien, the national president of the Teamsters. I'm like,
In
this
Washington,
guy's
D.C.
Yeah,
like,
D.C.
Come on.
It's
serious?
But doing
Staying
work.
at his house. Like, come stay with me.
Yeah.
Here's the key. When you come back, just come in. Because I'm never here.
But then you know, you're hanging out with guys working on sentencing reform and trying to give back. So, well, John, thanks for sharing the story.
It was great.
Love talking to you, and look forward to going and having some dinner with you.
Awesome,
Thanks for doing this, brother.
No, thank you for having me.
Guys, thanks for being with me. March 10th. The book releases. Please check it out. Go to theothersideofhard.com for all the buying options. It's available everywhere you buy books. I also did the audio book recording for it myself. It's available on audible.com. Please check it out. Thanks to everyone who's pre-ordered. I can't wait to see so many of you at the live events I have coming up in New York City, Boston, LA, and Miami. I'll have events everywhere. Watch the social media channels for updates on the dates and details for the events. But thanks for being with us. See you next time. Boom. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that conversation as much as I did. Please take a quick minute to subscribe to the podcast wherever you're listening. This is a new show, so subscribing makes a huge difference. Please also take a minute to give it a review and leave a comment on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. You can also subscribe and leave a comment on YouTube. Again, this is really important for us, especially now since we're just getting started. Please also check out all of our sponsors. They make the show possible, and honestly, I love and use every single product we talk about on the show. You can learn more about me, this podcast, and also find links to purchase my upcoming memoir at theothersideofhard.com. My new book is called Everything You Want Is on the Other Side of Hard, and it comes out March 10th, available everywhere you buy books. Or again, go into theothersideofhard.com. There's multiple links there where you can find all the retailers carrying the book. Thanks a lot for being with us, and we'll see you next week.